Well, hello, everybody. Hopefully someone will yell at us if we have the dreaded robot voice. We shouldn't. I tested it before. Um, hey, we are here to have fun in the future with Star Trek Pioneer. Not just in the future, but in the far, far away. Far, far away from like safety and backup and everything that you know and care about is in a different quadrant. But that's fine. You're here and you're with friends like the Borg. It'll be fun. Hey, but before we dive into the little lovely reunion, and I'm sure fast friendship that you're about to form with the Borg, let's do the thing where people introduce themselves and talk a little bit about who you are, where people can find you and your character. We'll do Hell first.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hell Hath Some Fury. You can find me on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I have been streaming Elden Ring lately. That game is not as hard as everyone says it is. That is my official take. I am playing Dr. Miyazi Pren. I am a Trill, as you can see. But I do not have a symbiont, much to Dr. Pren's chagrin. I was on the original mission that landed the Pioneer in this bad situation, and I am now here to try and help rectify that awkwardly with lots of bouts of tennis in between.
Yeah. How about you, Mish?
All right. Well, I'm Misha or Misha_less_than 3 here on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter at MishaWeha. I don't really stream. So I'm playing Lieutenant Commander Tristan Ellis. He's just a human whose cells have been completely replaced with some sort of weird particle that's allowed him to somehow make like a Borg transmitter in his brain, and maybe like a way to use sensors easier also in his brain. It's fine. Everything's fine. It definitely didn't lead to them talking to the Borg, interacting with the Borg, sharing important secrets with the Borg. I'm sure it's fine. It didn't compromise the entire mission. Yeah. I think that's about it.
Cool. You're Rith.
I am Rith, or Rith_13. You can find me here playing tabletop games with my internet friends. I don't do the stream thing or really any other social media other than supporting my other stream friends here. Hell knows what I'm talking about. I am playing Lieutenant Commander Sorvak. He's a Vulcan. He's after his wife, who was on the Pioneer. So he's new to this season, and yeah, they decided to let the Borg go in and help him out because clearly they had more experience, and that was the logical choice. So now we get to deal with that.
Yeah. Some choices were made. Yes. So last season, this crew did some fun investigation and, exploring strange new worlds and ancient civilizations, and uncovered a kind of earth-shattering or galaxy-shattering discovery. This season began with, shortly thereafter, the Romulans finding out about the discovery and there being a little bit of a firefight, the upshot of which was that their ship, the USS Pioneer, a Nova-class scout explorer, was not exactly destroyed, but everyone that could had to abandon ship. And then it was kind of a combination of weapons fire and a tractor beam and like 3 artificial singularities right at the event horizon of a massive wormhole created a little bit of spatial and temporal anomaly. And then these folks were debriefed for like 3 months. Some of them, Dr. Ellis, were probably studied in very uncomfortable ways, but were eventually assigned to the USS Capitoline, which is a Vesta-class ship. which is very, very sleek and beautiful and large. And it has quantum slipstream drive, a technology that was brought back by Voyager from the Delta Quadrant. And they, in fact, have headed to the Delta Quadrant because their long-range sensors and the various different arrays that were put in place to communicate with Voyager have determined that that was the final resting place of the Pioneer, along with probably 3 ships full of very angry Romulans. They spent several months in transit and arrived at the location and found the Pioneer and 2, I believe, of the Romulan warbirds engaged in combat, but like one of the warbirds was firing on the other warbird, and one of them, the third one, had already been destroyed, and one of them was firing on the Pioneer. So there's something going on, but it was all sort of frozen in time. And they were just trying to figure out how to deal with that and ideally rescue their crew members and friends and wife who was currently on board the Pioneer, as well as all the data and the dead wormhole prophet in their hold, when the Borg showed up. The Borg that Dr. Ellis had been having conversations with and that Sorvok has been hearing in his mind since he was back in the Beta Quadrant. And these are friendly Borg. They're super helpful. They're collaborative. They don't have a queen. They have a mother. You know, because that's friendly.
It's definitely not the same thing.
No, not at all. And so the Borg and the Borg came with friends, specifically a Zal cruiser. The Zal are a well-established species in this region of the Delta Quadrant, along with the Nihydran and Mawasi and Krenim. And the Zal are fairly hospitable people. And after Janeway really screwed up the Borg Collective, the Free Borg were offered sanctuary on the Zal homeworld. And so they've established a positive working relationship with the Zal that definitely has no uneven power dynamic or anything like that.
It's fine.
It's totally fine. And then the mother was like, hey, there's this whole temporal anomaly. We probably shouldn't just go shooting stuff at it. We should figure things out. And you guys are like, I don't know. It sounds like you know what you're doing. Take care of it. So it's like, okay. They sent several hundred Borg onto the remaining ships, grabbed some stuff, like all of your data, and potentially a dead wormhole alien, and people, beamed them out, and then fired a giant Borg plasma torpedo. And so you are now watching the slow motion, very, very painful looking, slow-mo destruction of your ship, the Pioneer. And the fireball will eventually also consume the remaining 2 Romulan ships. So I think that's where we left it. Unless I missed something, unless I've forgotten any last kind of turns of the knife at the end.
No, I think that's it.
Yes. Sorvok is still hearing his wife. It's the same. It's exactly the same. It is louder and clearer, but that has not changed. So, it is beta shift. Commander Amala Nasani has the chair, and she is, for the sake of narrative, relying on you guys to take point in this encounter. So, what happens? What do you do?
I think we should prepare the sick bay for casualties, right?
Well, we're going to that ship, be it by force or diplomacy.
I'm just going to think really hard about not communicating with the Borg in my head, actually, is what I'm going to do.
Yes.
Don't think about the giant purple bear.
Right. Don't think about having a Borg transcranial implant.
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Actually, hold on. I wasn't until you said that.
Yeah, right. We'll retcon it. Says so. Now don't. Oh, crap. A little antenna pops out the side of your head. Ah.
I mean, so if we are going to board the ship, do we need any tactical precautions, Sorvak? Or is there like any engineering armband things we might need to wear?
Dr. Brent failed security and
I'm-
engineering at the
I'm
academy.
so bad at engineering. You have no idea.
Being that the Borg ship is in our own space time, I don't believe so.
Nothing to
But a
prevent.
heightened locking mechanism might get us off there quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure there are some sort of portable, smaller scale pattern enhancer, something that you can do to, in theory, have a better chance at maintaining transporter lock. Unless, of course, the Borg raise their shields, in which case they can beam back and forth to your ship, but you can't beam to theirs or away. At least that's how the way it was before. But yes,
Yeah.
If you would like, Sorvok, you can, working with the ship's computers, you can attempt I think maybe insight engineering role, or no, I think insight engineering role. Because I was going to say security might come into it, but I think this is truly engineering.
All right.
To see if there's anything in the Voyager databases that would be of assistance, since they had extensive experience just like chilling with Borg on their ships. I will set the difficulty at 1. No, I'll set the difficulty at 0. Just because the number of successes will translate into the sort of information ideas you get. It's also a momentum builder.
We need some of that.
And someone can roll for the Palatine, the Capt line. For the Capt line, it's going to be a gear. I think it will be a computers engine. No, computer science.
What's the total for that?
I have crazy sunlight on my screen at the moment. So let me.
Capital Line Computers is 11. The science is 3.
So
Total
14.
14.
Thank you.
The
Okay.
only
And I just roll 1d20, right?
Yes, 1d20 for the assist from the Capt line.
The capital line succeeds in its assist.
Beautiful.
All right.
And-
the only focus Sorvak might be able to apply here would be survival, and that he's looking for something potentially on the Borg ship he could leverage. That's the only way. If that doesn't work,
I think it
then
doesn't.
It wouldn't. Okay, that's fine.
I think if you were trying to, like, from memory or deduction, navigate your way through the cube, the torus, it might work, but I think this is straight up consulting computers and figuring stuff out.
So insight engineering is a 12 for me, and I rolled a 14 and a 20.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
Well, the good news is that's enough to earn you a momentum on a difficulty 0 test. Yay. And I'm going to bank that complication as threat. Because I don't have enough. Because we started the session with a Borg ship right there with probably a couple hundred Romulans on it. And they are currently holding all of your people and data and sensitive material. So I have a few, but I can never have enough. You
In
know,
our defense, we were really tired.
I know. That's fine. You can blame me all day. Cool. So, and I don't think it would be fun to introduce a significant complication at the moment. So yes, no.
Another significant complication.
Yes, you can easily replicate some just like a portable transmitter that will help the capped line maintain lock on you. It will essentially reduce the difficulty of any tests to beam you back by one, therefore offsetting any kind of environmental complications like transporter scattering fields.
Oh, I'm silly. I have a focus in transporters and replicators, but that still doesn't make up for my poor rolling. So
Yes, that would have applied, I think, in this case, but yeah, didn't actually get you anything.
Still didn't succeed. Right.
Yeah, but you can easily replicate something and require people to wear it. So that's what you're doing. Dr. Pren has communicated down to sickbay to let people know that, you know, we're potentially gonna have some casualties that we need to have taken care of, just so they can make sure to call in any staff, put down their comic books and their yoo-hoo and get ready to do some actual work. Lieutenant Commander Ellis is just busy not thinking about sharing every secret possible with the Borg.
Yeah.
So all that happens in like a beat or two. Now what happens? The Borg are just sitting there, like very happy to be sitting on all your people, maybe.
Perhaps we should negotiate for access to our people, or at least our wounded.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
We say with little that they want besides, I presume, us to assimilate. But listen, don't worry about that part.
Wow.
Not worth assimilating, really.
The lieutenant commanders are certainly of high enough rank to, and have been given permission. If you would like to reach out to the Borg, you certainly may.
I'm very glad I'm just a doctor.
You wanna handle this, Sorvak, or shall I try?
Which one of you has like better diplomacy skills?
Probably not the emotionally impacted Vulcan.
the Vulcan who's just barely keeping it under control. Yeah.
What is talking in this?
If it involved the test, it's typically command.
Cool.
But not necessarily. It depends upon like specifically the scenario. So like it could be presence command, it could be control, but it is often command when you're talking about like exercising influence over people.
Gang, I'm really bad at this. I cannot stress you enough that I'm actually also really bad at this.
Yeah, your control is high, but you don't have great presence, and command is not your strength.
Yep.
Which Sorvak, I'm sure, understands. So, Sorvak.
I mean, Sorvak's command is also not good at all.
Is it a 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Am I ironically the person with the highest control and command?
Probably.
Likely.
Probably.
Because my control is 11 and my command is 2.
Yeah.
Yep. By default, that would put you at the
How did that happen?
Listen,
well,
somehow we're more
bedside manner
nerdy than you.
Yeah, probably.
So perhaps Sorvak says, given that this is a medical situation, and we want to present it as a medical situation, not a tactical one, perhaps you, Dr. Pren, I'm putting words in your mouth, Sorvak. I'm just suggesting. Logic would dictate that are a medical expert.
And that would be a good diplomatic venue to put it down. Whereas if we just show up unannounced, that will be seen as a hostile or tactical operation.
Maybe.
Sure. Dr. Print is very visibly not okay with this. She's going to take a few seconds and just do a grounding exercise. You can tell that she's box breathing in order to calm down.
Yes.
I guess open a hailing frequency to the Borg.
One of the ensigns will just kind of reach over and hailing frequency is open, sir. And then there's the handshake. They're requesting on screen, sir.
On screen, ensign.
So, yeah, there she is. So, in case we've forgotten, doesn't look like a cyber zombie. I mean, obviously has Borg implants. But has a bit of color. And she is sitting in a captain's chair. There are more traditional drones at stations behind her. And she's got a little bit of like a Riker lean on.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as she sees you, she smiles. Doctor, what a pleasure to meet you face to face, as it were. I've been studying your files.
Oh, of course. I want to request access to the ship because I would like to evaluate our wounded.
Yes. I think your expertise, your exceptional expertise, will be very valuable. Unfortunately, there are a few wounded. And while we have certain medical capabilities, I think you would prefer to at least attempt to save your people yourself.
Excellent. At what time can we?
Would you like us to bring you over?
I'm gonna sheepishly kind of look at Sorvok because he's technically commanding officer.
I know your protocols will have told you not to lower your shields in the presence of, well, us. But, one, it doesn't really matter. And two, do whatever makes you feel the most comfortable. We're nothing if not accommodating.
I think that we need to access the wounded as soon as possible. I'm
Yes.
certain that, based on the reports, well, several of them are going to have extreme
Yes.
medical emergencies.
And you might need some specialized equipment. So perhaps
I was just going to say, for writer's room, as soon as she said as soon as possible, I just imagined it happened.
well,
Mid-sentence, boom.
Well, I think it certainly could. And maybe you're expecting it, but Mother will say, well, you might need some specialized equipment. So perhaps bring a ship.
I'm going to check the ship file. Does it have
Sorvok's already punching up
Yes.
getting a shuttlecraft ready.
Yep.
Of course.
And certainly, if you need to shuttle people back and forth, you don't. To be fair, they were involved in some sort of spatial and temporal anomaly. Beaming the wounded aboard might be contraindicated.
Yeah.
So a larger ship that has a higher evacuation capacity, like the Tiber, would be a good bet. It's also warp capable, so if things get weird, you at least aren't stranded in a sublight only vessel. So
Okay.
she probably won't suggest it, but she has read all your files. But yes, and if there's anything that Pren needs, knowing that Captain O'Keir is gravely wounded, so any specialized equipment that would be required to see to his health and that of the symbiote, that certainly would give you ample room to bring that aboard.
Okay.
The Tiber is a Venture class scout. It is it's like an upgrade from the Wave Rider that you're used to. It's got more capacity. It also has a decent kind of medical bay. It's got great sensors. It's warp capable. So it is probably a good choice on a couple of different fronts.
Okay. We will take some time to prepare. It can be done in 15 minutes.
Your people are currently in temporal stasis.
Well, that's a relief to hear. It looked like some of those wounds were going to be.
Yes.
Recommend we send word down to sickbay, Lieutenant Commander.
Yep. And Dr. Ruma is like, you just told me people were coming. You get a call from Dr. Ruma, who has now, she was probably asleep because it's beta shift, or she was, having a late dinner or something like that. And you get a call from her. She has shown up and taken, because it's beta shift and her shift is alpha. She calls up to the bridge and says, "We're ready whenever you are."
Due to the nature of the like temporal distortion, transportation is limited. We have to go retrieve them, Doctor.
Well, we'll be ready. Just try to bring us the ones that need us the most. And ones that haven't been assimilated by the Borg. I mean, I don't mean to tell you your business, but...
Aye, sir.
And then you hear a nurse in the background, "Borg?" It's like, have you looked out the window? Yes, Borg. It's fine, Ensign. Calm down. Here, you hear her. There.
High
You'll feel
spirit
fine.
of the comms.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to end this scene and go to the shuttlecraft?
You tell me.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Ellis or Black, what do you think?
Sounds good.
Okay, so we've loaded any equipment that we think would be necessary.
Yes. Is there anything anyone would like to do that would have a opportunity cost or create some escalation? So I'm going to say that you probably have some Trill cultural artifacts and things like that. That's just part of your jam. It's just going to be for a scene, no big deal. If, however, like Sorvok or someone else wants to bring some specialized weapon or other defensive equipment or something else, like you're planning for a backdoor or planning for eventualities and requires you to have unusual equipment, that is probably going to have an opportunity or escalation cost.
Are the armband things
That doesn't
that we
really count.
need? Okay.
It's not really a weapon. I mean, he kind of is just by being him. But the large cat, like caster guy, I think we should take him with us.
Father Shakora. Okay.
Yeah, I think we should take the chaplain because, wounded people often need somebody to hold their hand.
Read
Mm,
them last rites, maybe.
sure.
Also, he seems capable.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a 9-foot tall Cation. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
I don't know if he's quite 9 feet tall. It's like 8 something. But yeah, he's a giant apex predator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have a valid reason to bring him
Sure.
because he's a chaplain.
Sure. And there are people who are badly injured.
Uh-huh.
Yes. On a Borg ship. It'd be fascinating.
Yes. I imagine we'll see many interesting things.
And then Sorvok or someone will, or maybe just a security officer in the shuttle bay will offer, like, hand him a phaser. And it's like, I will not need it. Fangs, claws.
Yeah, Sorvok is he will have his phaser. He will pack one each for Pren, and Ellis does not give them to them.
That's probably wise.
Especially Ellis.
Yeah.
The only suggestion he has would be, would we want to include a handful of Marines as potential, not for deception, but for moving of wounded? Because it would be illogical
like to act as orderlies.
Yes.
I mean, they are strong people. The Borg might still interpret it as a threat.
They're good at taking orders.
It's fine. You can totally do it.
Well, we can do anything, but the Borg might interpret it as a threat.
They might. And that's I think that is something that would have an escalation cost, which would mean would add to threat, because you're bringing overt military material or personnel into what is ostensibly a humanitarian mission. But that doesn't mean it's not smart.
Right. I mean, it would actually help us move the wounded.
Yes.
So
otherwise, we're relying on them.
Sorvok's for it. Otherwise, a mixture of security and medical personnel from the Capital Line to do that work. But if there is a firefight, they will be at, we'll already at
go all in with the Marines, I think. If you're going to bring people, you might as well just go all in.
Sure. You will get, you will talk to Major Pomar, the dark-skinned, very kind of touchy Vulcan, who will assign, I think he'll assign Staff Sergeant Damian Zavaleta to lead, and maybe 4 Marines.
That should be sufficient.
Do you want them to put on the medical teals, or are you okay with them in their marine green?
I'm okay with them in the marine green as long as they are not overtly armed when we arrive.
Okay. I mean, do you want them to have their sidearms on them but not pulled out, or do you want them to, like, not have sidearms?
It would be illogical to arrive to have Marines equipped with weaponry for a humanitarian mission.
Unless that humanitarian mission was on a Borg ship. I'm just asking because it that will make a difference in the number of threat I award myself.
They'll leave their armaments on the ship.
Okay.
On the
Tiber
shuttlecraft thing.
Okay.
Not on the.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So they're all coming with, but they just won't walk out.
Okay.
Brandishing.
But Sorvok has type 2 on his hip, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That'll be the only one.
Okay. That works. I mean, not like any of it matters.
No.
But still, there probably is a little bit of back and forth with Major Pomar as you insist on the tactical wisdom of not having them show up armed. And he's not super happy with it, but has to bow to your logic, especially when it's like, well, I mean, if they start shooting, things have gone horribly, horribly wrong, and it kind of doesn't matter at that point. All right. So, anything else? Any other preparations that need to happen? Or do you... Who is flying, by the way? Can any of you, like, at least sort of... Did anyone take basic small shuttle, small craft, or con in the academy? Like, does anyone have better than like a 2 con?
I have a 4 con.
Yeah. You can totally fly.
Yeah.
We got a
I know how to
pilot.
do this.
Sweet.
Yay.
Cool. And not that it matters right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying.
I'll just
Yeah,
set
that's
these
right.
guys
Yeah,
down
not that it matters at all.
for later.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So, you walk down the ramp. There's a clear design lineage, because the relationship of the Tiber to the Capitoline is very similar to the relationship of your Wave Rider to the Pioneer. So it's a ramp in the middle of Shuttle Bay 1 that goes down to a special kind of docking area. Unlike the Wave Rider that you're used to, it's not a kind of flat profile dock directly integrated into the hull. It's actually a large armored hatch that opens. And the Venture Class Scout, activates its RCS thrusters, clears the Capitoline, and then, at I'm going to say relatively low impulse, begins making its way toward the Borg Taurus. The Zal cruiser that had been docked kind of in the center open space of the Taurus is still just a station keeping, mostly just observing. And you make your way toward the Taurus. As you get close, it's big. I mean, it's not a cube, but it's bigger than a sphere, and spheres are real big. This is a mass. I mean, it was easily able to accommodate probably a profile 5 or a scale 5 ship in the central space of the Taurus. That gives you an idea. So, like, the Capitoline could probably fit in that space. She's very long and narrow. But yeah, it's big. And it does seem simultaneously stereotypical Borg, kind of brutal. But there just are subtle differences. Whether that be because this is a ship designed to primarily stay in and maintain the transwarp network, back when that was a thing, or if it's a reflection of whatever has happened to the Borg since Janeway blew them all up. Who knows? But it seems more aesthetic as compared to the brutally functional design of the Borgs and spheres and things that you have studied. But it's a subtle thing that really only reads when you get up close. But yes, you are directed to effectively a docking bay, which definitely seems different. It's not typical that Borg ships have compatible docking clamps with other ships, because they tend to just, haul them in a tractor beam and then slice them into pieces, beaming off anything of value and then destroying the rest. So this part is clearly atypical. But you, unless you tell me otherwise, you make your way into the airlock and enter into the Borg ship. It's a Borg ship. I mean, it's lots of drones moving around. It's bank after bank after bank of consoles and regeneration panels, etc. It is the activity on board is much as you would expect. But the Borg are visibly curious about you. like they don't stop their activities. But whether they be manipulating a station or moving from space to space, there's a little bit of a pause, a little bit of a drop in efficiency as their attention is attracted to you.
I take out my tricorder and I follow the life signs of Federation planet people.
Yes, you start a scan. Well, first of all, let's do a scan to see if you can discover anything.
Okay.
This is going to be...
Would we have been able to do this as we were docking from the ship?
You would have.
But that
But we
opportunity
didn't.
is passed. Got it.
I'm going to make it difficulty 1, not because you detect any active subterfuge, but just because massive unfamiliar power systems and energy fields and things like that are just inherently challenging for your tricorder to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So difficulty 1 controls science. Reason science, sorry.
Reason.
And do you have any talent that would reduce the difficulty of the... I don't actually have your thing open.
No, I have field medicine.
Yeah, okay.
That might work, but probably not.
No. I'm calling this just like a general kind of scan to see what you find.
Okay. So my reason science, you said?
Mm-hmm.
That's a 15, so I get 2 successes.
Beautiful. So that is 1 net success. Yes. So you are detecting, I think probably only about 5,000 life signs Borg. They do seem a bit more differentiated than you're used to. And a couple of them, and I think you probably have a higher resolution or getting a bit more data from those that are nearest to you. But you're able to relatively easily identify that some of these are from species that were in Voyager's database. And they, in general, at least some of them in general, appear to be less fully assimilated, less entirely replaced with Borg technology than one might expect. You are picking up some temporal variants and that same very low, barely there life signs, kind of intermittently, from a location kind of towards the center of this. There's think of it like a circular spine.
Mm-hmm.
Vital systems, etc. So somewhere to your north and west, kind of up this spine, is where you're detecting that. As you're scanning, a female Borg who has been watching you smiles at you. Looks down at the tricorder and then looks at you and smiles.
Hello.
It's somewhat unnerving. She doesn't say anything back, just smiles and then continues manipulating whatever it is that she's doing, kind of looking at you. 5 Borg show up. Probably tactical units. And stand at attention. One of them steps forward. You will come with us. And then they turn around and start walking.
We will go with them.
Yeah. You see Staff Sergeant Zavaleta reach for where his gun would be as soon as they show up. And the one that seems to be in charge very clearly clocks that motion. And maybe you see just a hint of a curl at the corner of the Borg's mouth. Try it, buddy, a little bit. A slight sense of amusement, but then they just start marching off in unison.
Staff Sergeant, if they wanted us dead, we'd already be dead.
that doesn't help, Lieutenant Commander.
Staff Sergeant, why don't you and your Marines get a couple of biobeds, traveling ones?
Yeah, they'll haul the equipment. Yeah, so they do so, and then there's a little bit of a hustle as they catch up with the rest of you because the Borg ain't waiting. So yes, it is not a very far walk. I mean, you're in a little bit of sensory overload because you'll move from relatively congested, slightly steamy, overly warm corridors, and then there'll be a catwalk where you just see massive power conduits and row after row of regeneration nooks and kind of unintelligible technology, and then back into a warren. But within maybe 4 or 5 minutes, you are standing before, I think the doors are probably 20 feet high. You just go around a corner, and then there's this little alcove or large alcove with these 20-foot high doors that as soon as you approach start to grind open. And there is a roughly hemispherical chamber with a captain's chair in it. And what appears to be a variety of stations that might be analogous to science, engineering, tactical, etc. They appear to be manned by Borg, and there in the center is Mother. She looks at you.
Did Dr. Pren notice on the way over here that we weren't headed toward the temporal?
It's nearby.
Okay.
I think probably you are aware that the chronoton readings and the intermittent life signs are in this direction.
Okay.
And probably were expecting that as the door opened, you would be heading into some sort of facility. Oh, you don't know what a Borg medbay looks like because they don't have them. And so maybe you're a little surprised when instead of seeing your people, you see Mother. Who just looks at you.
And we look at her because we all know we're all good talkers.
She seems very comfortable with awkward silence.
Unfortunately, I feel like we are uncomfortable with awkward silence.
Dr. Pren and Dr. Ellis literally sit together and eat every meal in silence. So
yeah. And it's the kind of thing that everyone around you feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, but we're fine.
Yeah. She doesn't seem uncomfortable at all.
But now you're on the outside of the silence, so yeah.
I was under the impression we were going to see the wounded.
Yes, he will say, where are the wounded? Where are our people?
I'll have them brought to you. And she kind of looks over, and a couple of Borg step away from their consoles and make their way towards a smaller set of doors. They'll be here momentarily. I thought it'd be good for us to talk and get to know each other a bit.
You already seem to know quite a lot about us. I doubt there's little more you could learn.
Well, about some of you, that might be true. You, Dr. Ellis, however, are very fascinating.
Oh, I don't think I'm that interesting.
You're too modest. I'm very curious how you came to be in the situation you find yourself in.
Ellis is singing the song, that infinite loop song that kids sing in his head, just in case the thing turns on again.
I know a song that gets on everybody's nerves.
I was thinking I know a song gets on everybody's nerves, but the other one would also do. Just so you know.
I think she'll like feign nonchalance and look at her nails and then kind of whistle it to herself.
He sings it in his head, but harder.
She just smiles. Well, we'll have all the time in the world. I don't begrudge you your coyness. But this is a great day. This is, as far as I know, the first time that our peoples have met. That wasn't overtly part of a conflict. Well, there were some unfortunate encounters the last time the Federation was in this part of space. But things have changed. The collective is different now.
How different?
Well, it's much smaller. And we aren't technically part of it. There are... Think of the collective as a great organism. Almost undifferentiated, highly adaptable, full of potential to become whatever it needs to be, made up of billions upon billions of multi-purpose organelles. What the events that happened around Voyager broke it apart, shattered that unity. Parts of that organism strive to heal by reconnecting, by reforming. Other parts have adapted. We represent one of the parts that has adapted to a new reality.
The mitochondria out living on its own.
In a way. We obviously think that our way is the best. Not all of us agree, of course. But we don't
Is there a lot of conflict with other former collective members?
Not yet. But it's inevitable. They will seek to absorb us, or we will seek to liberate them. Only time will tell who is successful. I suspect your people might have an opinion as to which of those outcomes is more preferable.
Dr. Pren has a very bad poker face.
You're on
We
mute.
can't hear you, Sormak.
Seeking alliances for an upcoming conflict is only logical.
Yes, in fact it is. This is something we share in common with you, your Vulcans, and frankly, something that we share in common with your cousins. You might not know it to look at us, and you haven't always seen us at our best, but we are very passionate about certain things.
Well, the Federation was formed out of a desire to protect.
And to cooperate for mutual benefit. That is something we feel very strongly about. In a good way, in case I wasn't clear. Ah, your people. So there's some sort of, you don't know what the purpose is, but apparently they have either manufactured or just had on hand some sort of adult-sized humanoid accommodating pod. And they pull in these kind of like maglev set of pods. There are, I think, probably 2 Romulans, Captain O'Keir, Lieutenant Ravosk, and a few crewmen. These are the most compromised of your crew. I suspect of particular interest to you, Dr. Pren, is your captain.
Dr. Pren has already started scanning them.
Yes. You can.
It's unclear if she heard you or not.
Yes. Yeah. You step over immediately. The Romulans have a combination of one of them. It looks like badly burned. And just by scanning, like, there's no way, nothing that you picked up on the Pioneer would have caused that. It's quite possible they're a survivor from the ship that was destroyed.
Okay.
But serious internal trauma, third degree burns, they are, but savable. But it's the type of thing you're probably going to want to transport them, induce a medical coma, transport them, and they're going to require intensive care. The other two Romulans have disruptor wounds, clearly from Romulan disruptors.
Right.
Both, neither of which are in great shape, but not immediately a threat. Lieutenant Ravosk likewise got hit by a disruptor. But he's super jacked, extremely fit. It's going to be a matter, he got hit in the leg, and it's going to be a matter of ensuring that he doesn't lose any mobility. So there will need to be some surgery, but his life isn't in danger. Captain O'Keir, and remember that they're in stasis, so it's your ability to get really detailed diagnostic information is somewhat limited. The symbiote, as far as you can tell, is alive, but has been subjected to trauma. Captain O'Keir's cardiothoracic system is not viable. Because he was hit full blast in the chest with a disruptor.
Right. Yeah.
Your wife is not present, Lieutenant Commander.
Already noticed, yeah. And the others, he'll speak.
As far as we can tell, mostly minor injuries. Nothing that your sickbay shouldn't be able to treat. Of greater concern is the after effects of the phenomena, the anomaly.
After effects? Can you elaborate?
Well, your friends have existed in an interstitial moment for subjectively quite some time. And it's not entirely clear to us the nature of the phenomena that brought them here. Our attention was attracted by some of our remaining facilities in the transwarp network being disrupted. As if subspace itself came awake. It was wondrous to behold, but quite destructive. So given that we're dealing with a extremely powerful phenomena that's not entirely well understood, we should be cautious, don't you think?
Perhaps. Starfleet regulation counterindicates transporting people who have been subject to phenomena like this.
Yes. Ripping them apart at the atomic level and putting them back together when they're saturated with an aberrant chronoton field does seem unwise.
We should transport these to our ship. Some of them are going to need extensive care that I cannot provide alone.
Yes. Well, we are happy to assist you. And she'll raise a hand, and the Borg will begin, the drones will begin just hauling the pods. Unless you ask them to stop, they'll begin just hauling the pods.
I mean, I have to put them in medical stasis on the other side, but
I will send someone with you to assist in negating the temporal field. I don't mean to be rude, but I think it might be beyond your engineers. Your species is not known for its excellence in temporal mechanics, or I shouldn't say most of your species. Or if you're uncomfortable, we could communicate instructions to you. We just wouldn't be able to deal with anything or help you deal with anything should something go wrong.
What would you ask in return for this help? You've been very generous in giving so far.
Yes. Consider this a demonstration of good faith. We're used to not being trusted. But as you so cleverly deduced, we do think there might be areas where our interests align. But first we should see to your people, don't you think? Then perhaps we can talk about all the fascinating data and what it might mean. And a little, and she will look at Dr. Pratt and Dr. Ellis. A little certain something that we likewise find very fascinating. This is something that Sorvok probably is not fully read in on.
He's giving the curious Vulcan eyebrows right now.
Yes. I could tell you, but then they'd have to kill you. And we can't have that. So yes, take care of your people, and then we'll have a nice long conversation.
Dr. Pren is going to start muttering to herself about burn first aid for plasma burns.
Yeah.
And walking alongside the Romulan.
Yep. Reminding yourself of what limited information. There's a lot more information about Romulan physiology now after the experience with the Dominion War. But even so,
it's not great.
Yeah, they're super secretive. It's like, no, I just want to scan you and get a sense of your vitals. No. Yeah. So you familiarizing yourself with what you know, taking some surreptitious scans. A Borg will go with you. Who would be an interesting Borg? Oh, you know who'd be a really cool Borg? Many species in the galaxy are externally human by appearance, or they have a little weird, have a few spots or weird forehead ridges. This one looks to be very human. In fact, it's a relatively young man. You're going to guess probably something in his mid to late 20s. And he looks like a young Korean man.
Hmm. I'm going to try and talk to him. And I say, so what's your name? Taking scans.
Yes. And he will say, he is, 3 of 12, secondary adjunct to Unimatrix, whatever. He'll give you his Borg designation, and then we'll pause for a moment, make eye contact, and then say, "But you can call me Harry."
Harry? That's an Earth name, isn't it?
Yes. I'm from Earth.
How did you come to be here, Harry?
Voyager encountered a spatial scission, which replicated the ship and its crew. I was lost.
Ensign Harry Kim?
Yes.
I watched an interview with your counterpart. I was drinking Rock de Gino.
Did he make it home okay?
Yes. Yeah, he talked about eating his mom's cooking again.
Yes. That is good to know. My expertise in Federation technology should serve you well.
I should hope so.
And he's like, "This isn't going to be weird, is it?" No, he doesn't. He seems to be totally fine with it.
Yeah. And Dr. Pren is going to try and surreptitiously scan him for like any kind of like elevated like hormone levels, like adrenaline, any kind of like cortisol levels. Is he stressed out?
Sure. A little. But he doesn't seem to be impaired. But
Okay.
you can confirm that this is a human from Earth. I don't think your tricorder, because it's been years, I don't think your tricorder would be able to pick up anything to verify that he's the product of a spatial scission. However, you do have your library, and you can easily go, wait a second, cross-index Voyager spatial scission. Harry Kim died. And like, yep, he was sucked out of an airlock. And the Borg brought him back. And then didn't reveal that little fact to Captain Janeway as a little bit of an ace in a hole, but as a, just as a way of gathering all kinds of really cool intel about the Federation. But yep. So your guess is that he was, after Janeway blew everything up, he wound up as part of the more collaborative, cooperative Borg.
The Borg co-op.
Yeah, but he's for sure Borg.
Oh yeah, he's got implants and stuff.
Yeah, but you detect something in his, hippocampus, we'll say, that indicates that yes, he's indeed having feelings and memories, but they're mild. He doesn't appear to be in any kind of distress.
Okay.
But he was very glad to hear that the other Harry was able to meet back up with Sarah and have a nice life, eat mom's cooking.
They left so many copies of themselves everywhere.
It's true.
They sure did.
Over in a corner, you see some weird, like salamander-like creatures, like a whole family of them, like waddling down the hall with Borg implants sticking out.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Or cleaning up all of Voyager's messes.
It's true. All of Tom Paris's illegitimate children have been assimilated. Yep.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, I don't know what to do with Borg Harry Kim.
Well, Mother will say, I just thought a familiar face might be comforting.
She gets a definite. It was not.
Yeah, it's worse. It's worse this way. Well, we have so much to learn about each other, don't we?
Okay, so have we made it aboard the ship?
Sure.
Am I confident that if I brought any of these people out of stasis now, they would survive?
No.
Okay.
You're,
So then we should make it
yeah,
back to the...
you're not confident about Captain O'Keefe.
Okay.
And I would say given your medical assessment and your cultural biases, you're probably thinking about how to save the symbiote.
Yeah.
Not that you wouldn't try, but that protocol would indicate that is priority number one.
Given that the Romulan who has the worst injuries is in like temporal stasis, it makes more sense to keep him in stasis alongside Captain O'Keefe and deal with the ones that have just disruptor blast injuries, because that would be easily something I could handle aboard the
Tiber.
Yeah, the Tiber.
I mean, you're a 5-minute shuttle ride back to the Cap line, so
right. But any injuries that I can eliminate.
I would say you probably can. You can. It might also, before you leave, it might occur to you that testing, like confirming that Unit Kim is able to actually bring them out of temporal stasis, and Ravask is one of the least wounded, and he's going to be in pain, but his life is not threatened, and he's a skilled officer, not just a security guard. So that makes the most sense, perhaps. Or you can pick a random, or you can pick one of the Romulans and try to see what's going on with them.
Oh no, that seems like a bad idea.
Yeah,
I do not want Romulans.
So as the party gets back to the Tiber, Sorvak is going to ask Pren if his presence is requested on the return trip. Otherwise, I will stay and verify the rest of our people are safe.
Alone?
You don't have, you could stay alone, or you could keep the Marines.
I believe leaving the Marines would only provoke the situation more.
Okay.
So we're exchanging hostages. That's what we're doing now?
Yeah.
I believe the Earth term is a prisoner swap.
Are you sure that's a good idea, Sorvak?
No.
Well, at least you're honest.
I'm not as well versed in Vulcan logic as some, but I rather think that your ability to view this situation objectively might be compromised.
In Sorvak's head is your wife. Sorvak. 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 Sorvak.
Is that an order, Doctor?
Echoing over and over. You outrank Dr. Pren.
Yeah, I can't give you an order unless it's a medical one.
Exactly. That is what he's asking. Is that a medical order, Doctor?
I don't have the grounds. I just want you to think about what you're doing. That's all.
I have done nothing but.
Sorvak. Sorvak. Sorvak?
All right, Alice, get to the con.
All right. So, Lieutenant Commander Ellis and Dr. Pren and Unit Kim and a bunch of people in temporal stasis pods depart in the Tiber as Sorvak turns around and I'm assuming heads back to the bridge.
Heads back to talk with Mother.
Yes.
Oh, no.
So we'll we'll cut back and forth. So let's do the first scene is going to be Sorvok stepping back into the bridge. And there's Mother. Well, I don't have anyone to tell I told you so. But if I did, I would. I had a feeling.
I would like to see the others.
You'd like to see your wife.
Naturally.
She looks over, and a Borg exits into that same alcove and comes back with a pod with your wife in it. She's got some schmutz. Her hair's a mess. Like maybe she was just very faintly grazed by. I mean, it could have been an EPS discharge or just very faintly grazed by a disruptor. It's hard to tell. There's a little bit of blackening on the arm of her uniform. So she looks battered and bruised, but she looks, you are pleasant. It's a pleasant realization to see that at least visually, she doesn't appear to be gravely injured. You can hear her, can't you?
And why is that?
That is a mystery.
So not your doing.
No.
But I can hear more than just her. I can hear you.
You hear an echo of something, but it's not us. Not this us.
Perhaps our collaboration can now truly begin.
She will reach over and place her hand on one of those kind of plasma plates. And there's a psh, and the energy field that covers the surface of this pod deactivates. There's a moment where your wife's entire body judders, not like she's having a seizure, but like she's moving in space, or like there's a glitch in the video feed. It's very upsetting to watch. And as she begins to sync back up with this timeline, there's a bit of a double exposure. Like you can see her hand twitch, but it's like it's staying still and twitching at the same time. And as she starts to come around, her physical voice and the voice that you have in your head start to sync. And the whispering and that kind of background noise also starts like you hear in that shuffling, whispering, murmuring sound, you start to hear, oh, that's a footstep. And you look over to the side and catch a Borg walking by. And this has been part of the loop that you have been experiencing, but it's all of a sudden
just not really perceptible until now.
Well, because it was just shushing. Right. Yeah, it's like, okay, this is happening now. What I've been hearing is happening now. It's distorted. It's a somewhat psychedelic experience. And it could just be that your mental faculties are somewhat compromised, but you are experiencing an extremely strong deja vu. As if you've been here before. And she calls out your name.
Oh, he rushes right over.
Yes. And you make contact, and then it's fully in sync. And as soon as you make contact with her, you hear momentarily the chatter of the cooperative. And it's exactly what you've been experiencing these months of transit from the Beta Quadrant. The Tiber is roughly halfway between the Borg Taurus and the Capitoline. You have been providing Dr. Rama with a status update and scans, etc. They are fully prepared. They've called in surgeons, etc. And you ask Unit Kim to pull Lieutenant Ravosk out of temporal stasis.
Definitely. Yeah.
He says, I will comply. And plays his hand across the controls, and a very similar phenomena. The energy field dissipates. There's some, I think Ravosk's awakening is a little bit less peaceful because he was in the midst of fight or flight brawl kind of stuff. So he probably starts to struggle a little bit. And it's that's, yeah.
I catch his arm. And I say,
yeah, go ahead.
Ravosk, you're safe.
Yeah. The arm comes up and you catch it, and then this after image also comes up. It's a little vertigo inducing. But he opens his eyes and jerks forward and looks, and it's like, Bren, what's going? Oh, my leg. I'm
gonna take care of you. Let's get you over onto the biobed.
Yeah, you help him hobble onto the biobed. This really hurts.
I put an injection immediately, right?
Yeah, anaprovaline or whatever it is. Those Romulans. I'm glad you guys got away. Did the Federation? Where are we? Is this what ship?
Okay, I don't want to alarm you, but it has been some time. And also, I do want you to know. Is that a Borg? Yes.
Reaching around for his sidearm.
Don't panic.
Unit Kim is in the back. It steps into view out of the shadows now.
Don't panic. But yes, there are some former Borg that we are partnering with for a time.
I don't know, they're still kind of Borg, Pren.
I am clearly, I have had a head injury. Or I'm dreaming.
Your head's fine.
So it's the rest of the world that's gone insane.
The situation was very complicated. It was the captain's final call.
Oh, that doesn't sound good. Well, if you're going to treat me, I better start taking off his uniform. This is what, if we're going to do this.
You can leave your uniform on.
I know I can, but this is probably more efficient. Yeah, we have to have the beauty shot of his rippling 8-pack abs softly lit by a key light.
Oh, okay. Well, Dr. Pren does not. I mean, she doesn't really react. She's like, this clinical. Is unnecessary, but
yes.
You do you, Ravosk.
Yes. Oh. Lieutenant Commander. Priority message from the Capitoline.
Oh, no.
I accept the call.
Lieutenant Commander, we're detecting warp signatures approaching quickly. We're gonna need you to get back to the Capitoline on the double so we can raise shields.
Understood.
I think I would like to find out how good you are at piloting under duress.
Me too.
I'm gonna need you to make a control con difficulty 2.
All right.
Good news is you're not currently under fire, so it's only difficulty 2. We do have 1 momentum.
I'm going to spend that momentum.
You probably oughta.
For sure. What happened? What's our what do boons turn into exactly? I forget what we do for the system.
Minor boons are things like, like subtract 1 from a roll, and major boons are reroll. Or you can like turn, use a minor boon to buy a momentum if you don't have one.
I'm going to use a major boon to reroll a die.
Okay, you can reroll up to all of them.
I'll reroll 2 of them. Okay, well, the dice say there's going to be problems.
Good.
Well, here's the good news is I believe I have 2 successes. The bad news is I also rolled a 20.
Awesome. So
Right.
yes. So you pilot competently. However, the first ship arrives. You have entered into, like, you are just about to dock. Like you're below the ventral surface of the saucer section of the Capitoline, and you're literally just waiting. I mean, they probably started opening it on the way. You're just literally waiting for clearance to use thrusters to get back in. A ship out of warp and immediately begins firing. So I am going to invoke a Major Bane. And because the Capitoline has not had a chance to raise its shields, or at least not fully, I'm going to say that just by coincidence, the EPS conduits that control Shuttle Bay 1 are overloaded. So you can always maneuver up into the docking area and then just be stuck there until someone can restore power. Because like the power that engages the clamps and connects the life support systems has been at least temporarily disrupted. You're getting immediate telemetry, no severe damage, just a few overloaded relays. But yes, the docking systems are inoperable. Repair crews dispatched. So what do you do?
Quick, what kind of ship just arrived and shot at us?
Go ahead and make a, I think it's going to be a reason science check aided by the Tiber's computer science.
How convenient you gave us that.
Sorry,
cheat sheet.
computer is reason security and computer security.
Okay.
Who's rolling for the Tiber?
I will roll for Tiber.
What difficulty is this?
I think 1 because you're under duress.
Okay. I got 2 successes.
Ooh.
Would it be sensor security?
No, it's computers.
Computer. Oh, sorry, I missed that. All right.
Yeah, this is like, how efficiently you can scan the data banks to see if you can identify the ship configuration.
And it has a talent of advanced sensor suites.
It's not a sensors roll.
Oh, okay.
It's literally a data.
Yep. And we're in combat. Yes, right?
Yeah.
So I can't use the high resolution. All right. So that is a 4.
Which will succeed, right?
Yep.
Cool.
10 was the difficulty.
Cool. So that nets you 2 momentum. And I will say that Dr. Ellis is like, and you pull up the ship recognition systems, and and in like half a second, the Tiber computers, like, I don't have anything because it's not carrying the full database, but you can immediately bridge, because you're right here, you can immediately bridge into the Capital Line systems, the more complete database. That is a Krenim ship. There was a very confusing and not necessarily entirely believed story of the crew, told by the crew of the Voyager, about their experience in an alternate timeline. How a Krenim scientist had built a ship with a temporal weapon, and had set about attempting to restore their ancient imperium by erasing all of their rivals from time. In that alternate future, and they were in that alternate future for a long time, and it was hell.
The year of hell.
Yes. They, in fact, that is where a lot of their knowledge of the Zal and the Nihydran and the Moasi come from. Many of those connections were, however, erased when the temporal weapon was destroyed. But the Krenim are known to have advanced temporal technology. They appear to be firing on your ship. However, it does not appear to be their main target, as 3 more ships drop out of warp and immediately fly in quick formation at high impulse towards the Borg Taurus. Think about what you're going to do, whether you're just going to chill here or do something else. Sorvok, in the midst of this, you are having that moment where you've made physical contact with your wife and things are syncing up. You see Mother jerk her head around, and the entire tenor, like the vibration of the Taurus that you had kind of gotten accustomed to, changes in its tenor. And then there's a significant rock as the ship is struck. It's being fired upon. There is a energy wave that propagates through this chamber. It is quite disorienting. And in fact, you are momentarily suspended in that loop with your wife. With her calling out and you there right with her, and that kind of echoey loop of the collective or the cooperative in your brain. You're frozen in an interstitial moment that seems to last for an eternity. And then you're out of it, and your wife opens her eyes and reaches out to you. What do you do?
Sorvok hugs his wife. Because this was the goal for 3+ months now.
Yep.
And then picks her up and swivels, and while still mid-embrace, turns to Mother and says, "They are the cause."
They appear to be firing some sort of chronoton weapon at us. It is of an unusual design. It's almost like she wants to say, interesting technology, we should assimilate it, but she doesn't say that. But maybe it's a little bit behind her eyes. Like, it's just muscle memory, right? She for sure wants to assimilate Lieutenant Commander Ellis, like, all day long. And she probably wants to assimilate this chronoton weapon. I mean, she wouldn't be Borg if she didn't. We have activated advanced defensive screens, but we are unsure how to proceed. Your ship and your people may be in danger. Communicate with them while we have time.
So he's going to do like as quick and a condensed of a status dump to Lieutenant Rawl as he can, like using he's Vulcan, so it's like as much telepathic energy as he can, and then, it's his wife, so that like subtle language and very familiarity, like we're not out of the woods yet. Things are happening. It's been a ride. You're a better engineer than I, so I might need you right now. And then he'll say, let's get the capital line on the phone.
All right. You do. Commander Naseni is, well, I mean, Ephesians are lovely, friendly, storytelling people, but they're also a species of warriors, and she is in full-on Xena mode. And just, Commander Sorvak, report. Is this the Borg?
It is not the Borg, Captain. The temporal weapons that are being fired at the Borg ship, I believe, are the cause of maybe this entire situation.
God, I hate temporal mechanics.
It was never my strong suit either, Captain.
Well, does our new friend have any suggestions? They must have done something to attract, and then someone hands her a pad, and she says, Krenim? Apparently we know who they are.
So would Sorvak know from the Voyager journey, like the whole year of hell thing?
You might. You could give me a difficulty 1 reason science, just to see if it came up, like how
Sure.
interested you are in alternate timelines and strange temporal mechanics.
Apparently interesting enough. So reason is 9, science is 3. I rolled a 2 and a 16, so that's 1 success.
Cool. So yes, you have a decent recollection of, oh yeah, there's that story, and you probably didn't study it in depth because A, Delta Quadrant, and B, it never technically happened. But Krenim, all right, they were the ones that had the ship with the temporal weapon and trying to wipe people out of existence. That doesn't sound good.
And Captain, there may be someone on the Tiber who has more insight. With the crew came back a version of Harry Kim.
She'll type on the pad and
A crew member of the Voyager.
Could they get any weirder?
It does not seem logically possible, but I am not convinced.
All right. Keep a channel open. We're gonna have to coordinate. I don't want this to turn into an all-out combat. It appears that our new visitors have focusing their attention on your ship.
Understood, Captain. Assistance for the Taurus is being requested.
Okay. Mother will. Oh, you mean you're requesting that the cap line?
So basically, Sorvak is saying we're here to help the Taurus.
All right.
The Taurus is requesting it, but
yeah, because Mother's like,
He's saying I'm requesting assistance for the Taurus.
All right. Well, they didn't cover this Borg scenario at the Academy, but we'll see what we can do. Channel remains open, but she'll switch over. And Lieutenant Commander Ellis, what's your status?
We could approach the docking bay, but the power's out, so we couldn't leave. We either have to stay in or get out so you can put shields up. Dr. Pren, do we want to wait until the situation's fixed, or?
We have everyone in stasis for now. I don't know how well that will hold up if we're not within the wider shield. I'm looking pointedly at the Borg drone.
Yes. Unit Kim.
What would happen if we sustained a direct hit? Unit Kim.
He pauses as if listening to something for a moment. It appears that, I'm just going to make it up, species 3274 is utilizing an unknown chronoton-based weapon. Its effects might be unpredictable. However, it's reasonable to assume that a hull breach, immediately evacuating all atmosphere, and the death of everyone on board who isn't currently in temporal stasis is a logical outcome.
I think we should get into that.
All right. Then we're going to go park inside the capital line. I mean, to be honest, that makes more sense when holding actual sick people we're trying to save.
Yep.
Given the big ship.
Yep. So it's whether you want to be stuck in an elevator or whether you want to be somewhere else. It's really your choices at this moment.
I love being stuck in elevators.
But, okay. Also, if they hit us with weird temporal weapons and we have weird temporal stasis equipment, I'm just pretty sure that would cause the same situation that happened on the Pioneer.
Potentially.
I mean, I'm not an engineer, but...
Potentially. The cooperative's capacity is currently being taken up by tactical simulations focused on preservation of the Taurus and your ship. I can request assets to simulate the effect of a direct chronoton weapon interaction with our temporal stasis pods. It will take a few moments.
Do it.
All right. Dr. Ellis, I would like you to make one more piloting check.
All right.
This is a combination of, navigating so you don't slam into the bulkheads, and probably manual override to at least engage some of the docking clamps so you aren't shaking around like a boiled egg in a lunchbox as the captain line maneuvers into position.
All right. What?
I think it's difficulty 2.
And I should be adding together.
Control con.
Control con. Okay. I'm going to spend a momentum.
You probably oughta.
Yes, who's going to use another major boon?
Sounds like a good idea.
Me. Okay, somehow this might be worse. So, 2 successes. I did roll a 20.
Awesome. That is so spectacular. I love it. So yes.
How?
Well, before it was only 1 success. I thought I'd make it better.
This is a statistically improbable number of 20s.
I know. I love it. So yes, you are able to maneuver into position and manually activate docking clamps. So you are secure. You are not, however, able to manually close the lower doors. So you are still open to space. The shields of the capital line are up, however, but we don't know how effective those shields are against chronoton weapons. We're about to find out. So, yes. Sorvak and Lieutenant Raoul, what are you guys doing?
Sorvak is wondering if the fighters from the capital line would be effective against the smaller craft.
They're not that small.
Okay, that's just his first thought. Of
I think
how small are they? Okay, they're too big.
Their
fighter core is not useful.
Yeah, they're cruisers, so okay. Scale 4 or 5. They're smaller than the capital line and certainly significantly smaller than the Taurus.
Right.
But they're roughly the size of the Zal ship, and the Zal ship, by the way, has moved away because it doesn't want to.
They should.
And you don't know how well armed it is, but it certainly doesn't look like a warship. These look like warships. And Mother is keeping up a constant patter. A lot of her kind of internal conversation with the cooperative is now being spoken. And she's also kind of giving you a bit of a tactical readout that they're having difficulty adapting because the weapons themselves are out of sync with normal time. It's a big ship, and the weapons aren't super destructive, but they are leaving pockets of disrupted time wherever they strike. So there are areas of the ship and there are members of the crew that are currently stuck. And their firing pattern appears to be they appear to be systematically targeting different areas, attempting to build up a strong enough chronoton field to effectively, hypothetically, freeze the ship in place. Or knock it out of the normal flow of time.
Not much unlike what happened to the Pioneer.
And meanwhile, by the way, the Pioneer is still slowly being consumed by this massive plasma explosion.
Yeah.
Just hanging out there in space. So, tactical genius, what is your suggestion?
He's going to ask if there's any way to sync the already forgotten what the owner of the ships. Who's firing on the Taurus?
The Krenim.
Krenum, thank you. Try and knock the Krenum into the Pioneer's temporal state to basically knock them off the current time, but knock them onto the slower time.
Mother finds that intriguing.
And probably at this point, Rel is going to recount what happened just before the Pioneer incident, which was the warp bubble that caused everything to go crazy.
Yes. So if you have Rel's sheet handy,
I do.
I would like you to make either a reason or insight engineering to reflect her thinking on her feet to see if she can't.
She's got a focus in warp fields as well.
Yeah, all day. It'll apply.
All right.
I mean, it's a little tangential, but it makes sense. Difficulty 2.
Okay.
And we have a momentum if you want to buy an extra die.
Yes, that will be needed. All right. So there is one critical success, one success, and is a 17 a complication?
No.
Okay. So 3 successes.
All right. So that earns you another momentum. Yes, Lieutenant Rel is able to very quickly and efficiently communicate the particulars of everything that she gathered and what she was trying to accomplish when she attempted a warp jump when the Pioneer was disabled near the event horizon of the wormhole, and also convey that and I think probably Sorvak is in a better position to from memory and what you've read in the reports, convey that it also appeared to be the interaction with the Romulan tractor beam that opened the rift in space that the Romulan ships and the Pioneer were sucked into. So between the two of you, and no roll for that, that's just and then the Romulans came in with a tractor beam. You're able to convey something that will act as basically an advantage for the Borg Taurus in whatever it attempts to do. So that was Rel's contribution. How would Sorvak like to contribute?
It's So like, that's my wife.
Other than the building off of what she does, what she's good at. He is. I guess he's going to advise at what the capital line would be very good at doing in this situation with its systems. Basically, if we want to coordinate using the capital line to flank or fire from a certain direction to move them towards, or even using the capital line to attempt the tractor beam push to get them towards the anomaly, that would probably not be something that would be seen coming.
Yeah. So go ahead and make a reason security roll for me, please. Or insight if you'd prefer.
Reason sounds good.
Yeah. Just difficulty 1, because you're by this point very familiar with the Capline systems.
And is a crit below the crit is only if a focus is in play?
A 1 is always a crit. And
Right.
then if you have a focus that's applicable, it's the discipline value that you have. And
Okay.
anything like unconventional tactics or starship combat or anything like that would apply as a focus here. I might allow, like, if you had a focus in tractor beams.
Shipboard tactical systems, but anyway, the role is beyond the discipline.
Okay.
So it's just
I think
one,
shipboard tactical
one-
systems would apply, but it doesn't apply. Cool.
Yeah. One success.
What did I say the difficulty was?
1.
Well, okay, cool. So no shift in momentum. However, yes, you can confirm that with a little bit of recalibration and putting some stress on the EPS manifolds, that you could, or that the cap line could very easily set up a tractor repulsor field. It would be of short duration. So it'd be more like a kick than a long, slow push. But at the appropriate angle, should be able to create a push to knock one or more of these ships into the slow-mo, rapidly expanding plasma
Slow-mo
explosion.
doom scene.
Yeah. Under the assumption that if the cap line is able to push the Kremen ships into that temporal bubble, that they would transition into that. They would eventually get exploded too, but they would no longer be active combatants.
Right.
Cool. And you convey this to Commander Naseni.
Right.
All right. I'm going to say that the capped line moves into position and begins a fire at will, just to draw, not with the intention of disabling any of these ships or destroying them, but just as a distracting measure to split some of the fire. Now that her shields are up, and her shields are awesome. I mean, they're not Borg, but they're awesome. Just to draw some of the fire and slow down the process of the temporal shift that is starting to build up on the Taurus. Now I'll invoke the complication. Oh, no, not yet. I'll save it. We're not quite there yet. So who would like to roll for... I think this is probably going to be... I think it's probably going to be Lieutenant Commander Sirik, the chief tack on the captain line. So someone gets to roll for the maneuver.
Go for it. Hell, I've been doing great so far. So
I mean, everyone's gotten 20s.
Means your numbers.
I
your
have
numbers
not
can be
rolled
up,
any
Misha.
20s today. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
But, the night is young.
Cool. So this is going to be daring security. Your target is 17 because he's a chief tactical officer. I'm going to say the complication range, however, is also 17, 18, 19, 20 because there's all kinds of ways this could go wrong. So this is one of
No
those
pressure.
wonderful situations where you can succeed and generate a complication at the same time. So I hope you roll nothing but 17s. And
Okay.
I'm gonna say the focus and tactical systems applies. So you're gonna you'll crit on a 5 or below.
What's the difficulty again?
The difficulty in this case is going to be 2.
Okay, I think I should use a momentum. What do y'all think?
Does
Okay.
he happen to have the cautious security talent?
No.
Okay.
He's aggressive security.
Rolling.
Bold is the word they use. Bold.
He does have technical expertise, but this is not assisted by the computers and sensors.
Hell, how many 20s did you roll, Hell? Or did
None.
you want to just use that major boon
Or all
and re-roll some
17s.
things?
Was it all 17s?
I got all successes. No
Oh.
17s.
Oh, good.
Then why do
Oh,
you look so nervous?
No, I'm excited. This was excited. I just didn't.
Okay,
It was nervous excited.
cool.
That's what we play for.
So how many net momentum? So subtract 2 from the total successes.
I got 3 successes, so it's
So 1 net momentum. Cool.
I just paid us back.
Yes. Or Lieutenant Commander Sirik did.
Wow.
So we have a scene where we've got Amalina sitting in the captain's chair, and an ensign saying, shields down to 75%. That's fine. Just keep it up. Keep up the pressure. Fire on that ship. And then, all right, we're in position. Jura. Because that's his first name. And he activates a repulsor pulse via the tractor beams. And it doesn't have the most powerful tractor beams. And for sure, sparks fly everywhere as EPS conduits overload. Why every power system in an entire ship runs through the bridge is unknown. But
So they know when something breaks, clearly.
right. But it's very cinematic. Sparks and showers, and someone is blown out of their seat, and someone rushes over, and they're okay. They've got a little bit of a cut. And yeah, it's the tractor systems are down. They're going to need to be rebuilt. However, you beat the difficulty by 1. So 2 of the ships are. We have an outside scene as the capital line swoops it swims through space like a dolphin. For such a big ship, it's so agile. And you're keeping up the pressure, and you're lining up just right. And a couple of the Krenim ships go to bank and try to get around, try to do a quick loop around behind you, but they're just not anticipating how maneuverable this big ship is. And Lieutenant Commander Sirik times it just perfectly. So just as they start to turn into their bank, just blasts them with a repulsor beam, and they both. You can see them trying to right themselves, but one of them just spins out of control and then right into the field. The other one is just able to slow its momentum such that it's stuck like probably 2/3 into the temporal bubble. You can see the lights on the part that's in sync with the current time frame flickering. You can see like it's attempting to fire weapons because they were like in mid fire. And it appears that they were in mid launching a torpedo. Now the complication hits. So as Commander Nassetti, the XO, says, "Good job. Now let's go save our friends, the Borg." And as the Capitoline turns her belly and then begins to curve back towards the Taurus, the Krenim torpedo explodes. Back on the bridge, we see a lot of buffeting, more sparks, damage reports coming in. The shield's held, but there was a significant chronoton wave. Their torpedoes apparently also have some sort of chronoton payload. So that is going to interact in unpredictable ways with the temporal stasis pods aboard the Tiber.
Great.
We cut.
Who could have foreseen?
Yeah, everyone's jostling around. Pren is probably like bracing one of the pods. Lieutenant Ravosk is like knocked off the bio bed and is trying to crawl up. And you see a look of concern cross Unit Kim's face. And he says, "Oh no." And then there's a flash. And you kind of clear your eyes. You guys are fine. The world around you, however, is frozen.
Oh,
Like, the universe is frozen. Yes, you
Thanks.
are inside a temporal anomaly. From your relativistic viewpoint, time is proceeding normally. However, all of the temporal pods are offline.
of course.
So what you going to do about that?
Suffer.
Yes.
Okay. I am quickly inducing a medical coma on the Romulan with the burns.
Yes.
As fast as I can go. I am going to load a hypospray with the correct dosage for putting the other Romulans under.
Yeah. And
Just-
the Marines that are with you will immediately pull out their Type 3 phasers, understanding what's going on and seeing you react, immediately leap into action and draw a bead on the remaining Romulans, just in case.
Okay.
They haven't yet reached that phase. They're starting to have that weird judder as they reintegrate with what is now a separate kind of time frame. But
Yeah.
it looks like they will very shortly reintegrate with this local time frame.
Ellis,
Yes.
you know how to give an injection?
Yes.
I give Ellis the hypospray. Give this to each of the Romulans that have disruptor blasts. Okay. And then I go immediately over to the captain.
Yes. Well, the good news is you can get a clear scan now.
Okay.
Since there is since whatever variance between his native time frame and this local time frame is rapidly diminishing. So why don't you go ahead and give me a reason medicine?
Okay.
You can be assisted by the Tiber. It probably won't help, but it might. So how about Sorvok or Bith? Why don't you roll for the Tiber, since I know you have that sheet up?
Got it.
It'll be computer's medicine.
Okay. So
Or
I
sensors
do
medicine.
actually have a focus that I think applies, which is trauma surgery.
Yeah, all day.
And I also have field medicine.
Yeah.
Which I think might be useful.
Yeah.
That's a talent.
Yeah, for sure. This is the
Okay.
kind of stuff that you haven't had a chance to do a lot of, but this is what Starfleet doctors are meant to deal with.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and roll. What's the difficulty?
For the scan,
Yeah.
we'll say it's 2.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and use.
I'll be nicer. I'll say it's 1.
Okay. Then I will just not use momentum.
And
I think.
it's only a 1 because of the lingering kind of temporal variance.
Tiber got a 7, which is a success.
Wow.
I have 1 success and an 18, which is not a 20.
It's not a 20. And there's nothing in this particular case that would increase the crit range. So, yay. So, excellent. So, you gain another momentum, which you might need. So, we're going to stick with this for a moment. Yeah. It's not even a question of saving Joran or Okir. Yeah, there's very little that can be done for the host.
Yeah. I can make him comfortable.
Which is probably of high priority because you're certain that the symbiont is feeling excruciating agony.
Yeah. So I'm going to immediately give the host medication to like numb the pain.
Yep.
At least.
Yep. And the symbiont is allergic to it and dies. No. It's fine.
I would know.
Slightening the tension. Would you though? Did they
I
read you on the
definitely
secrets?
would.
Well,
I'm a medical doctor who's obsessed with having a symbiont.
yes.
Of course I would know.
Yes. So, you have very little time.
Yep.
If you were going to save the symbiote.
All right. Well, I am going to immediately start trying to extract the symbiont.
Yes. Other members of crew are waking up. These are these are like disruptor blasts and stuff. But Marines often they have at least basic first aid, so they can administer analgesics and apply dermal regenerator to minor abrasions and burns, and just keep people stable. A couple of them are still keeping eyes on the Romulans, but you don't have to worry about the less injured individuals. A lot of it is just them being super confused about what's going on. And then they fall silent as soon as they see the state of their captain.
Doing trauma surgery in the middle of a
Yes.
shuttlecraft.
So what's Dr. Prang going to do?
Well, I'm doing what's necessary to save the symbiont. And based on my scans, what needs to happen now?
It needs to be extracted.
Okay, well, I'm extracting it.
And then it needs,
Well, it needs a host, obviously.
Yeah.
But
it just
is there any,
just so
any,
turns
like,
out
medical...
one of the Marines is a Trill. He's like, I've been through all the training.
Yeah.
And then you shoot him with a
both, bud.
phaser. No, it's mine. No, that doesn't happen.
Okay.
You're going to need assistance.
Yeah. Also kind of privacy. It's messy.
No privacy in foxholes.
So is there, I guess what I'm asking is there any like medical damage to the symbiont itself? Does it need any medical attention?
It certainly has suffered some heat trauma, and its neurological system is very stressed, partly because of its own trauma and also partly because it experienced the pain that the captain experienced as well. However, it should not to the extent that it shouldn't be able to heal naturally.
Okay.
You could apply like a neural suppressant. You could which could limit its psychological and physical pain. However, that would interfere with what needs to happen here in a few minutes, which is the bonding.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm bonding a symbiont in the worst circumstance possible.
Well, almost the worst. I think if you had murdered Okir and then stolen the symbiont, that could be worse.
Okay.
But this is second worse. So, this is, we're not even going to do an extended task because there's not enough equipment present for you to do an extended task and you don't have a staff to contribute. I think it's basically you and Dr. Ellis.
Okay. Dr. Ellis, I need your help.
Yes.
Right away.
So we are going to extract an implant. It's coming down to 2 rolls.
Okay.
Trust me, you did not want Sorvok there for this.
You
I
mean
mean,
the
he would just be
non-doctor?
squeamish.
Ew, gross.
Ew, biology.
It looks like something that you'd use for sushi. Ugh.
I mean, Vulcans don't eat meat, so he would just be like grossed out by it on
Yeah.
a different level.
Probably so. So, how successful are you at extracting the symbiote without causing further trauma to it?
Hopefully, I'm gonna do fine. But what's the roll?
I think this is the most difficult part. It is difficulty 4. Complication range 18, 19, 20.
Okay.
You will get an assist from Dr. Ellis, and you will get an assist from the Tiber.
Okay.
Roll 1 die for the assist.
1 die. Control medicine.
And control.
My focus in trauma surgery
Yes.
will help
Yes.
here.
It will
Okay.
apply.
So that just it extends the crit range, right?
Yeah, your crit range is now your medical discipline score.
Okay, so that's gonna be medicine
Control.
control. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You should
let's-
use a momentum.
You should
I
use.
think I'm going to. This seems critically important.
You might even want to use, if you use another one, to be
Total of 3.
2.
Total of 3. Yeah. So
Uh,
1 for the first
Yeah.
one, 2 for the second, 3 for the third.
Yeah. So I'm going to use 1,
Okay.
and then we're going to hope that Ellis can get something and that the Tiber can get something.
Yep.
You should probably use the other 2. I'd say you take 2 dice on this. You
So
said it
then
was
I
the
would.
most important part and very hard.
That's.
And
I mean, it's
the
true.
difficulty of the next couple of pieces is largely dependent upon how success. And this is something you would know. If your success at extraction
Use all 3.
will make it much easier to do the next pieces.
Okay, we'll go up to 4 dice for me, which is
Beautiful.
2 more momentum.
So we're rolling a
I'm sorry.
total. We're rolling a total of 6 die.
Hoping.
4 20s. Come on.
Yeah.
No 20s. 0 20s.
But all 18s, because that's the complication range.
Let me.
All right. So Alice is rolling for Ellis, and I'll roll for the ship.
Yep.
So the
Okay.
ship has medical and
Computers, I think.
yeah. Okay. Thanks. It's just it's a little bit different on the ship. That's why I could.
Yeah,
tripped up every time.
its ability to monitor and display and provide appropriate readouts and things like that. Sound any alerts, provide any guidance.
Ship the
I-
operations board.
I have 3 successes and no crits.
Beautiful. Which means as long as, because you scored 1 success, that as long as Dr. Ellis or the ship are able to get 1 success, you will succeed.
I have gotten a success.
Yay!
Excellent.
Ship also got a success.
Ah,
Oh, good.
beautiful.
We get a momentum back.
Get 1 momentum back. Yes. It's a little, like, it takes hours or an hour, like longer than you feel comfortable. And like at some point, and it's in stages because you're having to prepare the symbiont for disconnection. You're having to ensure that Okir doesn't technically die. You're having to maintain, we'll say the ship's medical resources are being used primarily to provide life support for the host. And then it is a very fine to detach the neural fibers that connect the symbiote and the host because they run through areas that have been damaged. Luckily, they weren't like severed or or damaged beyond repair, but they do have a significant amount of like thermal damage and trauma to them. That part should heal. It is a very delicate procedure and you need all hands. So Lieutenant Ellis is maybe not the best at medicine, but great at control and great at science, and is able to, and very brilliant, and is able to to very aptly assist you at the most vital portion, which is effectively breaking the physiological and neurological bond between the symbiote and the host.
Okay.
And of course, once that happens, although the host is unconscious, you're monitoring the state of the symbiote, and you're guessing that it's aware that someone is attempting. So it calms down as the procedure proceeds, but as soon as that bond is broken, there's a wash of neurotransmitters. You don't know, but you're certain. Your instincts tell you that it's experiencing tremendous grief.
Yeah.
Now, the second part. You succeeded, but the bonding is something that is generally ritualized, highly monitored, and when both the host and the symbiote are at peak health. This is far from the ideal situation. This is not going to be a medical role, however.
Okay.
It is going to be a control command role.
Okay.
I mean-
what do you mean? You don't just pop it in there?
No.
It's like a VCR.
Yes. You have some psychological issues with this particular procedure
I mean,
that are
it's not weird. I'm stealing a symbiont
That
from
are-
my former captain. That's not a big deal, right?
and you have like very, very particular feelings. This brushes up against your ego and self-worth in a very big way, and that has physiological implications. So I'm going to say there's no way that you can enter the appropriate peaceful meditative state, which you got some training in, but you were also never prepped. Like once you are selected, there's 6 months of intensive training to ensure that this procedure doesn't backfire in a terrible way. And you're going to have to try to find a way to get yourself under control to not kill the symbiote and die in the process.
Joy.
I mean, realistically, the worst going to happen is that the bonding fails and the symbiote dies.
Well, and then I have to live with the guilt of that forever.
Yeah.
So
No big.
be even more of a failure.
Maybe you can take it to the Borg and they can assimilate it, and then you can have a Borg symbiote in you. There's all kinds. You have options. But I'm just...
Thanks, I hate it.
all I'm saying is no pressure.
Okay. Well,
Is this something Ellis could assist with realizing you need to be in a calm
Yes.
state?
I'm probably running like Dr. Pren realizes that Ellis is not a medical person, but is a scientist. And so Dr. Pren has been running her mouth this entire time, just like info dumping about this medical procedure that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And recently got to the point where she's like, oh, now I need to calm down.
And I think Dr. Ellis is probably not. I mean, is not necessarily the most socially adept. It's if only we had a Betazoid counselor.
Oh, you're so helpful right now.
Yeah.
If only.
Oh well. So
It's okay.
so if it doesn't work out, blame Kelly. But I think Ellis probably understands that it's less scientific and medical expertise that's required, and more.
Oh, I had an idea.
Yes.
spiritual stuff. We brought vacation.
Yes, I was going to mention that in the next lull, that Pren did prep as one of the items brought on the shuttle on the Tiber was the joining, the cultural implements for the joining.
Yes.
He's been here.
Yeah. I mean, you didn't invoke him in any scene, which is probably good. Previously, because he was probably like getting like real close to Borg and you smell strange, looming over them, just like surreptitiously poking them to see what happens. Because he is, yes, your what's it called? Chaplain. Your chaplain is an agent of chaos. But yes, he will. He has been calming down and ministering to and dealing with the feelings that the various different crew members who have now been awakened from temporal stasis are feeling about seeing their captain being sliced open and a weird bug ripped out of him and dying.
Listen, it's intense.
And Dr. Pren goes, Father Shakora. Yes?
I need your help.
I'm afraid medicine is not one of my skill sets.
Well, this medicine might be in your wheelhouse. The ancient Trill developed techniques to enter meditative states in order to... I need to join with this symbiont or it'll die. And I need to calm down.
Well, I'm sure there are exercises that we can try. But honestly, sometimes just having someone be with you, I find, is helpful. And he will reach out and he will grab a hold of your hand with his enormous mitt. And I mean, the claws are retracted, but they're there.
Yeah.
And we'll just like grab your hand and then put the other one underneath it, and look at you with those big eyes. Get really, really close. Whiskers trembling. Just breathe. You aren't fighting illness. You aren't fighting injury. You're not even fighting the unknown. You're fighting with yourself. And you may not win. But do you have to fight? Or could you just step out of the way for a moment? Sometimes the best way to win the fight is to surrender. So we will count that as an assist from Father Shakora. So, Dr. Ellis can still assist to give you readouts because you're not going to be able to stand up and work at a console. So, and the Tiber will also be able to assist.
Okay.
So, you're going to have 3 assists. How difficult do you think this is for Pren? I think it's pretty difficult. But Pren better than I do.
I think that like she is very good at putting aside her feelings in a medical setting, but this has become not medical anymore. And like she can't look at it like it's trauma surgery because it's not anymore. That part's done.
Yeah. I think this is a difficulty 5, reduced by 1 because of the successful removal and the the minimization of further damage and trauma to the symbiote.
Okay. Well, I'm going to spend a momentum.
Yes.
Just one.
You can give me one threat to buy another die.
Do it.
I have so much threat. You're in combat. And there's
Throw it at
Borg.
him.
I think you do it, Hal.
Yeah, do it.
You don't have to.
You know what
Okay.
you want.
You don't have
Sure.
to.
Let's do it. Why not?
I'm immediately going to turn around and spin that threat and a bunch more to increase the complication range to 17.
Uh,
There's
Yay.
all kinds of ways this can go wrong.
Great. Love that for us.
So,
It's beautiful.
yes. But
There are also some boons there, Hal.
complication doesn't mean failure. So it doesn't matter.
But it is in the failure range.
Yeah. So I'm going to say, no. Oh. Interesting. You will get a free reroll of one of your die from Father Shakur's assistance because he is an advisor and he is assisting you with command.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's one failure to success or one complication that you could reroll if you need to.
I'm really glad that we remembered that he was with us.
Yes, me too. So he will be assisting with presence command. Lieutenant Commander Ellis will be assisting with control science. Yeah, because you're just monitoring. I think a computer science again for the Tiber. And I think control command for Pren.
Okay. Is the fact that I have a talent as a former initiate relevant to this situation?
I think it makes it possible.
Okay. Okay. Let's roll dice. I'm
Yep.
sure this. I'm scared.
And Father Shakur does have counseling as a focus. And his command is 4.
Oh
You
no.
gotta roll first, Dr. Pran.
Yeah, we haven't tell you anything yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all dependent. If you get one success, then all the assists will count, or assists will count.
I have 3 successes
Okay.
and a complication.
Would you like to use Father Shakura's free reroll of 1 die to reroll that complication?
Yes,
You should.
I think so.
Unless you want the complication.
No,
I mean, we
think
can just
would like to-
narratively add complications. There's going to be complications. Don't get me wrong.
Well, we lost nothing, but we gained nothing. It's still a complication.
Oh, no. Oh, well. Did Dr. Ellis help?
Yes, I got a success.
Excellent. So we've hit the threshold. Did the Tiber help?
By the skin of its sensors, yes, the Tiber.
I don't know if you can see. This is a 1.
Oh, the chaplain
wonderful.
comes through.
I swear this is not a DMPC. This is not a Mary Sue.
Amazing.
But I just flipped the die and, of course, hit naturally on 1. These are my dice, and they don't roll high. They just roll whatever I need them to roll.
Magic dice.
I never roll 1s on these when I'm playing D&D. As soon as we switch to a 2d20, first thing it rolls a 1. It's juju.
Save them all up, yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, that's a total of 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's going to net you 3 momentum. But you spent 1,
good.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, we had. No, we went down to 0, didn't we?
Okay.
No, we had
Because I gave you a threat.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's 3.
Cool. So You are not prepared. This is the culmination of your dreams, but it's not validating. This isn't what you wanted. It wasn't even like as you can feel the joining happening. You have a moment of, and as you're thinking about Father Shakur's words about getting out of your own way, about surrendering, and just trying to be at peace with what's happening, you realize that it wasn't ever even the joining. It was about being chosen. You were so focused on being chosen or not being chosen that you never really thought about the outcome, which is the joining. You are hit with a wave of pain and grief. It is physical, it is psychological, it is spiritual. And then you can feel the symbiote pulling that back. You're not fully aware of its consciousness yet, but you can intuitively sense that it could tell it was inflicting pain on you, its pain on you. And it acts with intent to withhold that to the extent that it can. It is traumatized, but not in words, in a communication deeper than words. You feel it's not gratitude, it's not approval, it's hopeful reassurance. It's, we'll be okay. And you know it's trying to convince you and itself. It's a little bit whistling past a graveyard, but there's a deep wisdom in that internal voice. Even though you're aware that it's not sure you're going to be okay, you can't help but take comfort from it. So you're going to have an interesting eternity trapped in this bubble.
It's going to be great.
Yes. So we switch time frames. Unfortunately, the Tiber and a nearby portion of the Capital Line is frozen in time, and a few enlisted folk are also likewise frozen in corridors. But it doesn't impair. It is certainly impairing or impeding the repair of the power systems to get the docking systems back online, because no one can get close to it without. Well, no, they're not frozen. They disappear. So yeah, there's casualty results from the Capital Line's perspective. People have just ceased to exist. Because yeah, but they can tell something weird's going on. There's a weird chronoton field, and a couple of people like disappear into it, and you probably hear like banging on the bulkhead, like, "Is anyone in there? We can't communicate with the rest of the ship." So that stuff happens. Sorvok. Mother and her children and you and your wife are engaged in a pitched battle with now 2 Krenim ships.
1 1/3, or did the one free itself?
Yeah, it done blowed up.
Okay.
Yeah, it was attempting to launch a torpedo when it got 2/3 stuck into a time bubble. And things overloaded, and it probably detonated inside. So now there's just floating debris, and then 2/3 of a Critum ship kind of hanging inside this temporal bubble.
Okay.
Yeah. So you only have 2 ships to deal with. What do you do? You get to go first.
Sorvak has the quick to action talent, so
Yep.
we can retain the initiative without spending momentum.
Yes.
So he is going to put together what he knows about the Borg tactical systems, which probably isn't that in depth, but they're big. They've got weapons.
Yes. And unfortunately, as this chronoton field is building, the efficiency of the cooperative has decreased. Which is fine, except that unlike completely isolated individuals such as yourself, that decrease in efficiency of the cooperative impacts the effectiveness of everyone
Right.
connected to it, with the exception of Mother. She seems to be fine. But she will tell you that her children are operating at dangerously low efficiency. And then, well, I mean, she's not upset because she didn't get upset. But then we'll kind of smile at you, wave a hand, and a console will rise up out of the floor. If you wouldn't mind helping me deal with our little problem.
Not at all.
Oh, and you too, dear. Wave a hand, another console comes up. We are having some unfortunate fluctuations in our power systems. I'm sure you can find a way to help with that.
Lieutenant Rawls' face is at the same moment terrified and ecstatic to be able to just get her hands on Borg power systems.
You have a sense that Mother would love to go boo to Rawl just to get a rise out of her, but again, restrains herself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say you and Rawl each get a thing to do because you're quick to action. Who's going to go first and do what?
Rawls going to go first and attempt to understand Borg power systems.
Mm-hmm.
She has a focus in electroplasma power systems.
Yep.
And
So-
has well, it's not her ship, so I don't think any of her engineering stuff will really apply.
I don't think so.
Okay.
So this is going to represent her attempt to rebalance the power systems, to redirect energy
Right.
from defensive systems and probably also life support, because you can shut off life support in most of the ship and people will be fine, at least for a period of time.
For a while, yeah.
Yeah. So this is effectively a power management task to, we'll say, create an advantage, create a tactical advantage, which will counteract some of the complications from the multiple chronoton weapon strikes. So I think this is going to be, because it's creating advantages, it's just going to be difficulty 2. And
Okay.
the electroplasma systems will help. However, complication range 19 to 20.
She's going to use a momentum.
Yeah, she should.
All right, so 3 dice, and I'm guessing engineering,
Control engineering.
control engineering. All right.
The
That
Borg ship
is-
will assist.
Oh, the Borg ship
Yeah.
assist. That helps.
Of course it will.
So that
Borg ship
is
got a 2.
almost so close. Well, she got 1 crit with a 3.
Yeah.
Success with an 11, and a success with a 17.
So a total of 4 successes from you.
4 successes.
So 6 successes because of 2. Because the ship is always considered to have a focus, and believe it or not, its engineering is higher than 2. So that is a net of 4 momentum. Did we get 6 between us?
Yeah, you said it was a 2 difficulty tasks.
Yeah. Cool. So Well, your lovely wife has proven once again that she is brilliant and brave and comes through in a clutch. So she has immediately, as if somehow she knew, very intuitively able to interface with the Borg control systems. And this is a modified console. But still, there's a brief moment, Sorvok, where you see the look of triumph on your wife's face, and you see a look of pleasure on Mother's face, and you see those two, their eyes meet in a moment of just pure success. And then you see your wife kind of go, I am exchanging pleasant eye contact with a Borg lady. That's weird. Yeah. And then she's like, tactical systems fully online to you, Sorvok. So, what is your plan?
I think he's gonna pew.
All right. So you are going to attempt to destroy the Krenim ships, I should say.
Chips. Yep.
All right.
So, yeah, he will use at least 3 momentum.
Yep. All right. This is going to be a control security. Shipboard tactical systems will apply.
Okay.
So and
range is up to 5,
and
he has cautious security talent. So spending momentum means he gets to re-roll. Let me see, is it per momentum or I get 1?
When you buy a die with one or more die with momentum, you get a re-roll.
So I get 1 re-roll because of that.
Yeah,
got it. So I'm rolling 4 dice.
Yes, and the Borg ship will assist. Guess what? Its tactical systems are also higher than 2.
Right. So fortunately, no critical successes, but 3 successes, and I didn't hear you extend the complication range. So just 3 successes.
Yep. Cool. So we spent 1. The ship assisted. So you beat it by 2. So you have 1 floating momentum. So we're back at full. You have a floating momentum.
Oh, wait. I forgot my reroll. I'm going to reroll my 19. Because what are the odds? Another 19. What are those odds?
Okay.
So.
I mean, 1 in 20. But, yeah. But still. Yes. So the good news is, although propulsion and various other systems, including life support, are not necessarily doing so great, and the ship itself is not in fantastic shape, it's very, very, very large. It has lots of power. It's not a warship. It's not a cube. This thing isn't even designed to go and lead the assimilation of cultures. It's a piece of infrastructure. However, it's Borg. So let's see. You got what is your security?
5.
Okay.
But so I got no success. I had no criticals, 3 successes from
Yep. Plus the 1 from the ship beats the difficulty 2 to fire to hit a ship. So I think you probably want to spend 1 of those momentum to fire at will.
That sounds, yeah.
Cool. I would like you to roll. Let me do my math really quickly.
The D6.
I need you to roll 18 D6s.
Okay.
Wow.
I probably have that many.
I think that's right. I'll look it up. I might be overestimating. I think it might actually be 16. We'll say it's 16.
Okay.
because it's fewer than that, and you
I'll
can
at least-
roll them in bunches. And remember, we're just looking for total number of successes. Effects are gonna total number of successes, or sorry, hits, total number of hits, and total number of effects, because effects are gonna matter.
All right, I have 8 d6s.
Cool. Roll them up twice.
Well, I'll do one roll and then read them off.
Yep.
Because I don't have the chart in front of me. All right.
Someone keep count. I don't have paper.
Yep, that's why I'm going to read them aloud.
So ones are 1, 2s are 2, 3, 4 is nothing, 5 and 6 is 1 hit and an effect. So give us your total hits first.
So there are 2 4s, no lower numbers.
Oh, okay.
3 5s and 3 6s.
Okay, so 4s are nothing. So 3 5s and 3 6s is 6 hits and 6 effects.
Yes.
So we're at 6 hits, 6 effects. Got it?
Second volley of these 6s. 1 2. Sorry, 1 1. 2 2s. 1 3 and 1 4, which is nothing. And another 3 6s.
So that's 8 more hits and 3 more effects.
Yes.
Cool. What is whoever was counting, what is our total hits
The
and
total is 14 hits and 9 effects.
All right. I'm not even going to worry about rolling to see like the cascade of breaches and which systems get breached, because these are vicious weapons.
All
system. So just, and maybe like the kind of lower left, the lower right quadrant has gotten a lot of hits, so the various different weapons there aren't effective, but like 3/4 of the ring kind of in these beams of sickly green energy lance out, and the Krenim were, who knows what their plan was, but they were very clearly trying for a sneak attack, for an ambush, and were apparently hoping to disable the ship, and they might even have been able to do it if it weren't for the presence of the Capitoline. They probably weren't expecting that, but a full 3/4 of the ship's weapons come to bear on these 2 Krenim ships, and just slice them to pieces. Just, blast into engines breach, propulsion's weapon systems, just a cascade of breaches. The ship that got the most direct fire it doesn't even have a chance to have its warp reactor blow. It's just mostly vaporized. The second ship, we will say it is in the midst of a warp core breach as it careens into the null time field. But yeah, this is like I said, not a tactical ship, and you are now recalling that Borg ships are gross. And apparently the Krenim ships were not remotely prepared. So, soft golf clap from Mother. Well done. See what we can accomplish when we cooperate. We don't have any medals for bravery to award you, but suffice it to say that your identities and contribution to the cooperative have been logged.
Congrats, you're now members of the Borg Co-op.
Oops.
Honorary.
Yes.
For now.
As long as that gives me discounts on oatmeal.
Well, nutrient paste, yes.
Yes, the ship was quite
Your
capable.
first implant is free.
Free with every Jamba Juice. There will be a total like high five hugging celebration between Sarvok and Rel, and then the realization. Oh wait, now what about the capital line?
Yeah, I think Rel rushes towards you and, looks into your eyes and knows that you're probably not entirely okay.
Ask
Right.
her about the veggie dogs.
Right. It's like that is a joke cookbook. That is not canon. That was a cash grab by the studio. There are no Bajoran veggie dogs. Thank you. Yeah, no, there's something really important I have to tell you. I made it all up about the Bajoran veggie dogs.
It was an inside joke with Cisco.
Right? So, yes, for a moment, she looks deeply into you, past your stony face. She knows you well enough to read that you are in emotional turmoil. And then, but knows that an overt display of emotion might make that worse. So she breathes and composes herself, and then just turns side by side and kind of holds your hand pretty tight, because she's also kind of freaked out. But just knowing that contact is, I think, very centering and reassuring for Sorvok, until you look around and you realize that you're in the control center of a Borg ship. Yes, Dr. Pratt.
I just, from the writer's room, would like to point out that Vulcan hand touching is extremely intimate.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they only use 2 fingers to like touch hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Sorvok is married to a Bajoran, and Bajoran holds hands. He's gotten used to it.
There's some give and take there with touching.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Mother says, "Oh, should I prepare a room for you?" I mean, she
Should
doesn't.
I look away?
She doesn't. I mean, I'm certain they have assimilated Vulcans, but it would be gauche for her to comment upon that. Your ship. Wave a hand, and the kind of weird distorted view screen that they use will pop up. Commander Naseni's hair has kind of come out of her coif a little bit. And you can see repair crews, and you can, just scorched consoles and things like that. And there's a brief kind of tactical update between those two. The cap line is reporting no significant damage or breaches, except that there is a apparently stable temporal anomaly taking up a portion of the exterior ventral of the saucer section, which just so happens to be located exactly where the Tiber was, or is, she assumes.
Just vibing.
Yeah, just hanging out. And Mother will say, we'll begin addressing our own systems issues, and we'll move to assist.
Yes,
if that would be all right.
Perhaps any information you give on how to clear these anomalies from your own ship will be able to assist the capital line.
Exactly. It takes... the Borg are very, very fast. And especially once they're able to deal with the issues that were impairing the cooperative's efficiency, they're able to adapt and clear the lingering kind of chronoton contamination on the ship. And Mother is, let's say, for fun, we have a scene where, given that, actually, no, No, yes. Mother will or her people will have devised a treatment, if you will, a modified scanner probe that will help to clear any remaining chronoton radiation from your wife so that she's safe to transport. Sorvok and Lieutenant Raoul and Mother will beam to the captain line. There's some conversation back and forth, but Mother insists, very politely and diplomatically, as another gesture of goodwill. She's putting herself in your hands. After all, she took such great care of the Federation people. It's only fair to partake in your hospitality. So she will beam over, and she will lead the efforts and she will effectively set up some sort of weird Borg chronoton beacon, making little jokes about, well, we Borg have had our own little experiences with time travel, so this is not entirely unknown to us. We should be able to reintegrate the timelines momentarily. So it's only about a week from Dr. Pren and Dr. Ellis's perspective before suddenly power comes back. And immediately you're getting a ping on the communications. You can hear the linking of the ship's environmental systems with the main ship, which is great because it was getting a little bit funky in here. You can feel fresh air and that wonderful smell of new ship come in from the captain line. And immediately, communications, are you okay? I mean, you're getting them on your communicator, you're getting them through the Tiber's communication systems, and you're able to report that everyone is okay with one exception. The Romulans are conscious and they don't tell you a lot. And there are some quiet conversations in the cargo bay with just the Marines and Romulans. And maybe one of them comes out and he's got a little streak of green blood coming out of his nose. Like, maybe they're getting a little bit rough. But the story that emerges, and you're not quite sure if you trust it, is that the Romulans detected the opening of the Beta Quadrant wormhole and believed it to be the act of a hostile unknown civilization that was potentially amassing forces with the intent of attacking Romulan space and potentially Klingon and Federation space. So they did what any good neighbor would do, which is sent an investigative force to survey the situation, do a new frontier risk assessment, which is very familiar to you guys. And then the commander of one of the ships violated protocol upon seeing the Pioneer there, decided that this was all Federation treachery, and acted outside accordance of relevant treaties and without the permission or sanction of the Romulan Council, High Council, and instigated an unfortunate incident. And in fact, the other Romulan ships moved to intercede and destroyed the aggressor ship. And then now they have no idea where they are. The most badly injured Romulan, you're probably keeping him sedated, but your initial instinct was correct. He was a survivor from the destroyed ship. And the story at least is that the loyal Centurions aboard that ship were mutinying to, resisting the unlawful orders of their captain. And so a few of them were able to be beamed off as the ship was destroyed. So if you'll just take us back to Romulan space, we'll file a report. These
Well,
things,
if we're still
happen.
trapped in the time loop, are like, well, I think we're going to have to wait a bit.
Yeah, they seem very, I mean, you can just see it behind their eyes. This is some sort of Federation trick, but they play it very, very cool. And then just occasionally ask for more and better food, complain about the bunk situation, constantly ask, any progress on this temporal loop situation. No one on board knows really anything about temporal mechanics.
Nope,
and
didn't bring anyone like that.
Yes, and it doesn't appear, although Unit Kim is able to relatively rapidly fabricate something that it's very difficult for you to understand what it is he's talking about, but he assures you would in fact be able to potentially break this or reintegrate your time frames. There is insufficient power. So a lot of it is just, but he assures you at some point, Mother will find a way to solve the problem. And indeed she does. And the moment that the timelines reintegrate, he smiles as he hears Mother's voice again. And he probably even says out loud, "Yes, Mother, we're all fine." So, I think probably the private dining room, probably not the officers' mess. It's a lovely diplomatic setting. You have all of you. You have Lieutenant Ravosk, who's actually wearing clothes, which is,
For
I
once.
mean, his dress tunic is maybe a little bit tight. I mean, there's no such thing as Ed Hardy in the 25th century or 24th century, but it's got a little bit of like a bro in a tight t-shirt situation going on because he can't help it. Lieutenant Commander Adir is there. Father Shakora is for sure there. Other members of the senior staff of the Pioneer, as well as of the Captain Line, are present, along with Mother and the Kim unit. And the Zal captain, who has, after the combat, came back and said, we're not a warlike people. And I figured that the only thing we would do is, if I put myself at risk, I would have done it, but I figured we would just get in the way. Very, very charming. Very, very happy to share. There's an open invitation to visit the Zal homeworld, to get to know the cooperative better, to introduce you to the Dihydron and the Moasi and other good neighbors. Will provide you a little bit of intel on the Krenim. He's quite surprised. One of the other reasons that he didn't react is that he was very surprised to see the Krenim acting so aggressively, because they were once a great empire and there were lots of conflicts, but they've been a minor species ever since. They're technologically advanced. They're very good trade partners. But he obviously remembers nothing about the alternate timeline where the Krenim tried to reinstate their imperium, because that didn't happen. But there's some mystery as to why the Krenim showed up, and he has proposed that the Zal people act as an intermediary to inquire and to make sure that there's no larger conflict brewing. Because, he obviously doesn't want Krenim worship showing up in orbit around the Zal homeworld, bombarding the area of the surface where the cooperative citizens are housed. So there is some need for calmer heads, and some suggestion on his part, and with encouragement from Mother, that the myths and legends of Starfleet, as the Zal captain calls it, might serve as a as a powerful partner in any negotiation and investigation, because it is clear that you are no friends of the Borg. Your people were known to help resist the Borg in multiple combats. There's a legend of some of the less advanced races that, if the Borg comes, Starfleet will come in and save us because they are the only people who can. Having you show up in friendly relations, or at least a more diplomatic stance toward the Borg, could go a long way to quelling whatever kind of incipient conflict there might be with the Krenim and with other species that are very, very doubtful about the presence of any type of Borg in their space. So it seems perhaps that the Captain line might have a few unfinished jobs here before it heads back to the Beta Quadrant. And then there's the poor Pioneer. Flashback. As everyone is able to watch as that growing explosion finally consumes the last bit of the Pioneer, reaches its way out, consumes the Romulan ships, consumes the 2/3 of the Krenim ship, the second one that had drifted in, and then eventually reaches the edge of this temporal bubble, and then just no bang, a very kind of anticlimactic, just kind of dissipates as if nothing was ever there. It's a sad ending to the ship that had just begun to feel like your home. Another vignette of everyone in dress uniform with the torpedo casing, sending Captain O'Keefe, who did everything and succeeded in protecting his ship and crew. But in the end, like so many heroes, he met a no-win scenario. But, as Captain Ryan will say, through the bravery of our crew, in particular Dr. Pren and Dr. Ellis, we didn't lose all of him. His experience and his sense of humor and his courage live on. And she will gesture to Dr. Pren or Dr. O'Keefe. This is awkward.
Very awkward.
For Dr. Pren. It also isn't.
Yeah.
The most awkward thing is that it's not awkward. There's a part of you that has been through this a number of times.
O'Keefe's been at their own funeral 4 times before now, so.
Yep. So part of you is kind of shrinking in awkward silence, and part of you is the camera cuts in on Pren O'Keefe and sees like warring emotions, like the body is doing what Pren would do, shrinking a little bit, but it's like there's a breath and then stand up straight. The posture changes, the facial expression changes, the eyes still look a bit troubled. And then we see a bit of an interior landscape of Miyagi in just like casual trill clothes, in a kind of slightly vague, dark interior space. Like there's not really a ground, there's no furniture. It's just sort of a mental space. And we see who with her. We see Jordan O'Keefe, obviously. Salt and Pepper, Silver Fox, super chill, relaxed dude. Yeah. You got this, babe. Fingers guns. Who else do we see?
We see an opera singer. She's in like her full like opera singing regalia. She is from like around the time that Kirk was active on the Enterprise. She was also a spy. She was passing information to the Federation about the Klingons.
Mm-hmm.
We also see a person in monk's robes. He was part of like raising the generations of symbionts. It's not uncommon for the monks who do that to be joined.
Yeah.
We see a very young person, like the first host was very young, and it didn't take.
Mm.
They didn't make it for very long. And then the host immediately before the captain was a person who like studied a lot of anthropology. She was like one of the foremost experts on ancient civilizations around the Alpha Quadrant, and had theorized about the like seeding theory.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that episode of the Chase?
Yeah, the
She had
preservers.
theorized about that before it became clear that that was actually what happened.
And that might explain one of the reasons that the previous host was assigned to the particular mission, since familiarity with ancient Alpha Quadrant species and that kind of synchronicity where you see cultural artifacts from one showing up at a completely different quadrant was very applicable to the initial investigation that the Pioneer engaged in. So yes, you learn a lot of secrets. You know so much about Commander Vosral, all these old friendships, and are going through what newly joined Trill go through. You are spending a lot of time being almost like monitored by the monk. Like maybe one of the reasons that your body posture changed is because that voice inside is like, stand up straight. Yeah. You're now representing the best of our people. This is how we behave. So there's a little bit of almost like a parental interior voice, which is helpful though, because it guides you. And it's a little bit like, this is why we prepare for 6 months. And, it's a little exasperated. But the other personalities help to counterbalance it. And you don't have any challenges with any one of the personalities being too. If any one of them was too forceful, it would be the monk, but the monk knows this very, very well and knows the procedure. So having the monk there is part of your saving grace. The other part of the saving grace is the first host, the memories of the first host, because this is someone you can take care of.
Yeah.
This is the part of the O'Keefe identity that really feared a joining gone wrong.
Yeah.
And it gives you motivation to make it go right. address that, to caretake and address that part that's still a little bit fearful. So yes, everyone I think recognizes that. I don't think anyone in the senior staff has known a Trill prior to and then immediately after the joining. So it is, as Sorvak might say, fascinating. And a little kind of hard sometimes to keep track of. Right.
Yeah.
It's a long road and you were unprepared. So you're having to do some of the preparation now after the fact. But things are busy, which is also a saving grace. Lieutenant Commander Ellis, you were in the Delta Quadrant. There are so many new planets and races and current and extant civilizations just out there. There's potentially a conflict that needs to be resolved. But the opportunity, I'm going to say, and you tell me if you think this is right. The opportunity to carry the flag of Starfleet to bring peace. And maybe the very unsettling but somehow tantalizing promise of a peaceful relationship with the Borg. Sort of the Borg, right? But still, Borg has got to touch the pacifist core of Tristan Ellis.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, during any of the talks you're having, I'm sure he was pushing like, well, we have to stay, right? We have to stop whatever conflict's going on and protect the allies that we've just met.
Yes.
Mostly referring to the not Borg, but I mean, also we seem to work all right.
Yes. And Mother is courting you. Not in a romantic way.
No, I picked up that vibe.
But she finds you endlessly fascinating.
She wants to take you apart.
I mean, why on earth would you say that? But her eyes, in any of these settings, her eyes very rarely stray far from Lieutenant Commander Ellis. It's those bright blue eyes she's spitting. No, it's what those bright blue eyes are made of.
Yeah, definitely.
She seems very, very curious. However, she hands over all the data. She has copies. She hands over all the mission data from the Pioneer. She hands over the dead wormhole alien / whatever that thing is. So she returns all of your people and all of your stuff and laments that she was unable to help you save your ship. But it was a good outcome. And really mostly just seems to be angling for friendly, cooperative relationships.
It's unusual for the Borg to play a long game.
Is that an expression? Is that something that Pren would express?
No.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah. Because it isn't. Pren probably thinks it is. The Borg are a long game.
Yeah.
But yeah. We'll see.
I mean,
she's not shady at all.
Pren's not a tactical officer.
Yeah. She's done nothing but be helpful. She's gone out of her way and she's asked for really nothing. At least nothing unreasonable in return. Just friendly conversation. Spending time, getting to know each other.
Braiding flowers into each other's hair.
Yes. Handing flowers to little children, going on walks in the woods and finding a little girl by a lake who picks up a flower and hands it to him, and then the little girl winds up in the lake. She's seen Frankenstein. So It's fine. You have a new bestie. Well, her and 5,000 or 6,000 other new besties.
Including Borg Harry Kim.
The Kim unit is very, very interested in well, it's hard to tell whether it's the Kim unit or Mother. But she certainly proposes that what could be more fitting in a cultural exchange and to demonstrate our ongoing goodwill than to return your wayward crewman. I think he would make an excellent representative of our culture. And I know he's looking forward to some of Mom's home cooking.
Congrats, Mom. There's 2 of them.
You got identical twins.
And one's a Borg. Well, one's the result of a spatial scission and then died and then was basically resurrected by the Borg. You know.
It's a whole thing.
It's a
Don't
thing
worry
that
about
happens.
it.
Don't worry about it. It'll
He
be fine.
definitely isn't going to try to kill and or assimilate the real Harry Kim.
Certainly not. That'd be weird.
That would
But
be,
isn't he the real Harry Kim?
I mean, yes.
technically, yes.
So,
I mean, there can be
He's
only
really just
one.
getting rid of the extra.
Will the real Harry Kim please stand up?
Yes. Yes. So there's a lovely set piece of strange, awkward dinners, external and internal. Somewhat awkward but polite conversation because it's mixed company. Some internal conversation within Dr. Pren. Some very kind of, I mean, Dr. Adir's eyes are like this big, and she's probably giving herself a headache from just like looking from person to person. Does not, I'm going to say Dr. Adir probably isn't quite sure what to do with Mother. And because Kelly isn't here, I'm going to say is wise enough to just constantly be making the test to block it out. Because she recognizes it's dangerous. And Lieutenant Commander Sorvak, I'm sure you're prim and proper and completely under control. With your wife at your side, holding hands underneath the table.
Dr. Pren is wondering if her changing is the reason why Sorvak is different, or if it's his wife, or if it's both, and is just like puzzling over this every time Sorvak is in the same room.
Yeah, did he change or did your perspective change? Or both?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe one of your previous hosts had a relationship with a Vulcan, so you have some additional insights. And maybe some advice to share with Lieutenant Rel.
It was the opera singer.
The opera singer. It's like, does he do that
She
thing?
got up to some stuff.
Yes. Does he do that thing that they all do? Yeah, don't believe that. So there's some real talk, just us girls stuff happening between Dr. Pren and Lieutenant Rel, which I'm sure Lieutenant Commander Sorvak finds completely fine.
confusing, fine, whatever. But yes, I could. Pren will totally mention the veggie dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Rel will just lose it, like just uncontrollably cackling because it was an inside joke that she wanted to see how far it could go,
Yes.
and it never ended.
At this state dinner with a Borg at it.
Yeah.
Suddenly, Rel
like-
just busts out laughing
Can't help herself.
because of Bajoran veggie dogs.
Joran veggie dogs.
And I think maybe we see like just a close shot of Sorvak kind of turning and looking as it all dawns on him with this eyebrow raised and maybe the tiniest hint of a smile, which is laughing out loud from a Vulcan perspective. And I think that's where we pull back and see the credits roll. So you're going to fix the Delta Quadrant now, or not, or something.
Or make it worse.
Yeah.
I think, given
Or
how
die
our
trying.
previous mission went, we're going to do a great job, and there won't be any problems.
Yes.
Definitely. We've never lost a ship before.
Wow.
And we've determined that all of us are very good at doing diplomatic peace talks.
Yes. Next time on, teaser for next week's episode. Creepy Borg settings, green lights, red lasers, all kinds of like threat and worry. We probably see Starfleet officers running through a forest. Only the trunks of the trees are kind of a very, very smooth gray white, and the leaves are like a magenta pink, and they're falling down like cherry blossoms, and they're running. And then maybe someone turns around and fires a phaser as if they're being chased. We see the cap line, floating above an unknown planet. And then darkness. And then spotlight. What is this? Is this a wall? What is this showing? And the spotlights begin to move. It's the hull of a ship. And it spins around. We see just the barest outline of a space dock. And we zip around. What design is this? It doesn't look familiar. And then we see USS Pioneer. No, it's good. It's the beauty shot reveal. And we don't get to see the space frame, but we do get to see the USS Pioneer NCC 74732-A.
-A.
Yeah.
Legacy now.
Yeah. So, next time on
Star Trek Pioneer.
Yes. We got to get you back in the ship or else we can't keep calling it Pioneer.
I was
It's
just
true.
thinking, are we going to change the name of the channel or what?
No. You don't get to fly around in the Capitol line. It's too cool.
Ah,
It is very cool.
We're very comfortable in our very big rooms.
It was
Yes.
It was only for our top secret rescue mission.
It was only for your top secret rescue mission where you went to the Delta Quadrant and met the mother of all Borg. Well, mother of some Borg.
Mother of the co-op.
And traveled, and she manages the co-op. It's kind of a thing.
She tries to sell you some like henna.
Right?
She says it's good for your hair.
Exactly.
Or dreadlocks going.
Yeah. A lot of like long flowy skirts and patchouli, a lot of homeopathy. Homeopathic Borg nanites. It's totally fine. It's not like the bad Borg nanites.
No, you just dilute them and then
Just
take them.
try it out. You can
dilute-
go back whenever you want. It's fine.
Yes, you just dilute the nanites in water until there's practically no nanites left, and then you drink them, and then you're assimilated. It's a gentle assimilation.
It doesn't have nearly the kick.
It didn't have the nearly kick. It's like you're assimilated before you even know it. It's nice, except possibly for Dr. Ellis. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if
Poor
she's
Dr. Ellis.
we'll see if she's able to get a tissue sample.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen at some point.
Oh, it's already happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it happened during that week when we were trapped with
hanging out with him,
Unit Kim.
or even just
Yeah.
being on their ship at all.
Well, we all had to sleep sometime.
Yes. The skin cells that flake off of Tristan Ellis are made of claytronic atoms.
I have special.
Of course they are.
There is 100% a sample the moment the airlock opened from the Tiber onto the Borg ship. So it's a little late, but it's fine. That's not going to satisfy her curiosity. She's very, very curious about the person, not just the material. She would love to get to know Dr. Ellis. So maybe there'll be some Kirk-style romance between Dr. Ellis and Mother. It can happen. You make beautiful babies / world-ending assimilation machines, but who can assimilate not only not only organics and technology, but raw matter itself.
Let's not and say we didn't.
We'll see. We'll have some time to noodle on it. Cool. So that was the conclusion of our second arc of Star Trek Pioneer. It is my intention to come and revisit this again. Whether we pick up in the Delta Quadrant and wrap that up, or whether that becomes part of the backstory and introduce our characters to their new ship, is something that we'll decide in future. But if you, I think a person or two have noted that, if you love the Star Trek and you love the Star Trek adventures, and you haven't seen all the back catalog, I highly recommend heading over to cpluscontent.tv to our sci-fi playlist and checking out all of the first and now the second chapter in the story of the crew of the USS Pioneer. See where they've come from and where they are, and get some hints about where they might be going. And there's a bunch of other stuff over there too. Like there's all the spooky stuff and there's all the masked superhero stuff. And so go check it out if you haven't already. But before I finish my spiel up, why don't we do the thing where we let everyone know who you are and where people can find you next, starting with Hal.
Hi, my name is Hal Hassan Fury. You can find me here on Twitch tomorrow. I'm going to be playing some Elden Ring. And then again on Friday, I'm going to be playing Operation Tango with a friend of the C Plus content channel, Justice TV.
Excellent. Mish.
I am Misha, or Misha_less_3 on Twitch. Let's see, you can find me on Twitter at Misha Weha. That's Misha with a WEHA at the end. I think unless I will be probably modding for Justice TV and his upcoming streams, but I think you'll see me here next playing in the Pioneer Academy Pep Club game that's coming up later this month.
Yes. Which is Monster Hearts.
Yes, Monster Hearts.
So it's powered by the apocalypse like Masks, but it's like even more teen drama and stuff, except that all the teens are monsters. Yeah.
It's so much drama.
So much angst.
So much drama.
So much angst.
And like weird teen hookups.
Yeah.
It's like part of the mechanic. I'm a little uncomfortable. We'll see how it plays out. Save us from
to find out.
Save us from that, Rith.
I am Rith, or Rith_13 here on Twitch. You can find me here and only here. Otherwise, I guess you can find me in text supporting the friends of this channel and the members of the channel. But yeah, I look forward to playing some more Star Trek Pioneer and other games for the C Plus content channel.
Excellent. And our not quite departed, but unfortunately absent, My Fair Kelly. Unfortunately, her work schedule changed, so she wasn't able to join us for this one. But Dr. Kadera Deer was played by My Fair Kelly. That's at My Fair Kelly, twitch.tv/My Fair Kelly. Go hang out with her. She's super awesome stuff. I'm going to shout her out. Can't type and talk at the same time. Cool. So we should probably go and see somebody and share the hype and love. I don't have the thing open. Who should we go talk to? We could go watch Zam make some stuff. We could head over to Total Poly. Chill is doing D&D. Blinky is doing Core Keeper. Hippo's doing Bakery Simulator. What do we feel like?
Let's go look at Core Keeper.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's go say
that
hi
sounds fun.
to Blinky. I don't need to actually go visit it. Sorry, I'm clicking all the wrong buttons. It's one of those days. Not bling bling. Is it working? Yes. Cool. We're going to go hang out with Blinky. If we haven't already, would someone drop in the raid calls? Oh, someone did. Cool. Thank you. So yes, if you have a sub, go ahead and click the one, copy the one that has the mediocre roll die and the ahoy whale and the hype unicorn. If you're just here hanging out, which we very much appreciate, go ahead and grab the one I'm about to drop in with just the shrug emoji. Maybe next time. Share some love with Blinky and come back and see us on Thursday for Stargate Phoenix 5, where they're in a very bad situation. And
That seems to be a theme.
Right. It's not the Borg, it's worse. And come and hang out with us this weekend. I think we're finally going to pick up on our Sunday night one shots and two shots situation with Minnesota Smith and the Temple of Boom. And we have many more things coming, so come on over and hang out with us at community.c+content.tv, our Discord channel, where you can talk to these folks and share pictures of your dice and your TTRPG book collections and all kinds of other stuff, and get a sense of what we have coming up. Give us feedback, give us ideas. We love small games, narrative games, games that are less well known than the game that sucks all the energy out of the room, which is D&D, which we love too, but our shtick is more stuff that's other than that, just for some variety. So coolness. Let us all go and do the thing. It looks like we did. Cool. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.